do the chant we always do before we start.
There is no chant.
Mushroom, Starbucks coffee. This is gonna be real.
Naughty.
Hey!
I don't know. It rhymed. All right. Hello and welcome to the Hardly Working Podcast, the show where we talk about life, love, and labor, hosted by the couple that works, plays, and stays together. I'm Kelly.
And I'm SP. It's been a wild morning over here.
Yeah,
so far, so good. Welcome back. Coming at you in your ear holes and your eyeballs for 60 plus minutes. I'm doing a new intro.
I guess so.
Of podcast goodness for you to enjoy. Whether it's fueling you through a run, a workout, or a drive to work, it don't matter because we're going to be hanging out with you nonstop.
What podcast is this?
This is my morning show voice.
I know. Gosh.
Actually, let me give it another go.
No. I love you so much.
So we'll start with the emails.
No. It's fall, y'all, though. That's what I'm going to say.
It is fall.
If you're watching, I'm in my, what we lovingly refer to as the toast blanket.
What does that mean? Toast blanket?
Yeah, it's the colors of toast. The dog that was so beloved that passed away last year.
A year ago, next month, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I know
his
we
colors.
have some. I know we have some corgi lovers who listen. Some
corgis.
corgi.
Oh, yeah. Lala.
Don't want to call them owners, but corgi parents out there. Yeah, so we had a quick story. The blanket Kelly's talking about is tricolored. It is black, brown, and white. It was made by my incredible mother, who ultimately became the parent of this dog, Toast, who we all knew and loved. He was probably, how old was he when he died? 12, 13?
Yeah, 12. We celebrated his last birthday a week before he died.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so sad.
It was.
He was the best dog.
Very, very hard. And the new dog, Scooter, looks just like him, but does not act the same.
He's 8 months old, so
yeah,
a little crazier.
He's a little rowdy.
Yeah, so we have the toast blanket.
That's right. It's very fall in here.
Yeah,
I thought
my
you were gonna
pumpkin
say
spice, iced pumpkin spice latte.
Is that what you got?
That's what I got.
Well, cheers. Today we're switching from
Cheers.
water to coffee because it's actually not fall yet, but
It's
it
fall.
feels like it because it's only like 86 degrees today.
But it's cold in here, so
It is pretty cool.
I'll take it.
Boy, oh boy. I know it seems like we say this every week. Maybe we're just jamming too much stuff into episodes, but I know that this is going to be a big episode, a fun episode. We had lots that we did last week and lots that are coming up, lots of things coming up this week. But I'm telling you right now, this thing might go 50 hours. It doesn't matter.
No.
It might go 60 hours. It doesn't matter because this is the episode before our season 1 wrap up, our finale of our first season.
Woot woot.
Which, if you recall, if you're a longtime listener, you know that means the next time you listen to this show or watch it, oh boy, we're going to be trying the Eggo Waffle Brunch in a Jar Appalachian Sippin' Cream.
Yeah, we are.
Can you believe I remembered all that?
I cannot. The Appalachian sipping cream is the part that I always seem to forget, and you say it, and I go, what?
I know. I guess Appalachia is where it's from. The Appalachias. I'm not a scientist. Anyway, but yeah, this is our last episode before the season break. If you're wondering, what does that mean, seasons? I got to tell you, as an achiever, as someone who needs to be able to see results, we're not really doing much between seasons. We'll change the setup a little bit.
Yeah.
We may even introduce the video version of this podcast onto Spotify for our Spotify viewers and listeners. We just talked to a brand new friend, Jade, about that. I was like, yeah, we should do that. So maybe that'll be season 2.
We'll see.
We shall see. But before we get there, if you're watching this live as we drop it or listening to it live as we drop it on Wednesdays, we are currently in Florida.
That's true.
And we're currently at Walt Disney World.
Ooh.
That's about the extent of knowledge I have for this vacation. So what's happening?
Well, I mean, we're going out there for work, and then we just happen. This is the point of the podcast being called Hardly Working, because we work hard, but we hardly work. So we're going out to Florida to work for 3 days.
I didn't name the show that because we hardly work.
That's what I think.
I named it that because when you get to work and do life with your best friend, it's not like work as much.
That's a sweeter thing.
Yeah, you're like, we work hard, but we like never work. Like no one hires us.
It's not
That's
like
what
that.
it sounds like.
That's not what it is. But we are going out there to work with our favorite production company, DB Prod, or DB Productions, for those who don't know what prod means. And MB2 events and Lost Coast events.
Shout out to all of our fave companies and people we get to work with.
But we're going to work with DB, and it's in Florida. And so we're spending 3 days working a conference, and then we're spending 4 days at Walt Disney World, baby, with our two best friends, really close friends, best friends, Hannah and Andy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the girls. Well, this will be our like third trip / third vacation with them. We went to Hawaii, the four of us. We went up to Arrowhead for a long weekend or something.
And now
we're
going to Disney World.
We're going to Disney World. Who would have thought?
I know. They recently? Words.
Yes, they went to Canada. They recently went to Canada. The Great White North.
They recently moved to Tennessee. And so it's fun to be able to get to spend time with them because I haven't seen them in almost a year.
Yeah, it'll be a year in like December, I think.
Something like that. Well, I mean, they've come down to visit, so I've seen them, but like...
That's true.
Like a long period of time. So really excited, but we'll be at the Magic Kingdom by the time this drops. It's where we will be.
Yes.
We will already have visited Hollywood Studios. We'll be at the Magic Kingdom. We're going to Epcot tomorrow. Can I say it like that? And then
I guess,
our last day will be Animal Kingdom. So we're really excited. Gonna eat a lot of food.
Yep. Drink a lot of drinks.
Yep.
It's going to be a good time. Speaking of 1-year anniversaries, you had a big 1-year anniversary.
I did.
Just last week. Well, it was just a couple days ago, but between filming. So congratulations on your 1-year Bumble workiversary.
Thanks.
Where we switched over the company to the company that I had named and had prior to when it fully became your job and you rebranded, redesigned the company. It became Bumble. It became what it is right now.
Yeah.
What's it like making a year? You know, we haven't talked too much about our work stuff. We've talked more and more in the last few episodes.
Yeah.
But what I love is that you took the jump from 9 to 5 full-time job, getting a paycheck from somewhere, but regular paycheck, to going out on your own and basically going like, I guess I got to find some money today. You know, no one's guaranteeing you work or a paycheck.
Yeah.
Going out there grinding and thriving. It's been a wild, wonderful year.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. And hopefully the people who are listening who might be wanting to make that switch or take that leap, maybe they might get something out of it too. So let's talk Bumble.
Yeah. I mean, September 7th was my 1-year anniversary of leaving my 9 to 5. And like you said, jumping into Bumble or BMBL, whatever your heart fancies.
We call it Bumble.
Yeah, Bumble Booth. But yeah, I worked 10 years in the food industry, 10 years in, oversaw 2 restaurants, the training and the development of people. And I know COVID isn't something that a lot of people want to talk about or like to talk about. But the truth for me of COVID is that it really changed people. People became really mean, specifically to essential workers. And as awkward and weird as that sounds, I was considered an essential worker because we served food. But people became really mean. And those couple years of COVID were probably the hardest years. And I think a lot of people that I worked with agreed. Hardest kind of years just working in general, getting yelled at every day, having people out for COVID. And fun fact, I did not get COVID the entirety of the time that I worked my 9 to 5.
And so far,
I still haven't, knock on wood. But there were multiple times where like my whole executive team would be out and I'd be the only one in trying to help make decisions for 2 restaurants and keep morale up as I like went home crying every night. Cause I was just like, this is hard and it sucks and it's tough. And like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this and make this happen. And so I think by the time didn't end, but by the time things started to get kind of normal, I was ready to try something new, to leave. I had worked my way up to probably as high in the business that I could be. There was not really a lot of room for advancement or a higher salary. Like I just kind of was where I was. And although none of that was changing, like prices everywhere else were going up, housing prices were going up, cost of food, all that stuff. And I just needed a change. I needed something that was going to bring me joy every day, that I wouldn't come home crying from every day. And something that would bring my confidence back in humanity.
Yeah.
I was tired of being yelled at all the time.
Yeah. And there was a big, I wouldn't say instigating event, but there was a big event that I think helped you feel confident about taking the jump. You happened to work for happen to have worked for very close friends of ours.
Yes.
Were you friends with them prior to working with them? Did it become a friendship after a work relationship?
Yes. It became a friendship after working there. So I started out in the marketing department at this restaurant and I got to know.
Which is awesome. Such a great story.
Yeah. I started out in marketing and I hated it. And so I stepped down into an operational.
I thought you got fired.
That was later.
Didn't you leave?
I did leave. Yeah. And then I came back.
Spoiler alert. All right. I'll let her tell the
but
story.
But yeah, I started in marketing as a director in marketing and really didn't like it. It was really not my thing. I'm a people pleaser. And so I want to make people happy. But I'm also, at the time I was young, I was in my early 20s. I'm very sensitive. Being told no or like being treated poorly, it was really hard for me.
Of course.
And that happened quite a bit because not a lot of people knew the company that I was working for, but it was my job to go out and try to get people to buy from us. And I was like, I'm just not built for this. But I got to know Mandy through that. We would hang out outside and all the stuff. We got close. And then I left after stepping into operations because I was working at a church and that was my priority at the time and not necessarily my job. It just didn't fit. And so I left. And then I came back because my friend Andy was working there and was like, I think you'd really like it now because the manager that I didn't like that used to work there had left. And I was like, yeah, that's a whole story in and of itself. But the manager that I didn't like was married to the girl that I worked with in marketing and they didn't really treat her very well. And I got the brunt of all of that from the wife who would talk to me about it all the time. And so I didn't particularly like him. And I think he took stuff out on me because I knew more about the relationship than I should have. Ooh. It's like a team member once I stepped from like director or marketing to operations. So it was a whole big thing, but I came back and then I worked my way up and I became an executive director of leadership and development. I helped us go multi-unit to get 2 restaurants. It was a part of that process. And then I helped to, I got to help other operators of the same like restaurant build out their training plans and different things like that. So it was a really fun ride. I learned a ton of stuff. I learned a lot, but we did get really close to Mandy and Travis, the owner operators of the restaurants that I worked for. Including you. You were really close friends with Travis too. And our kids were about the same age, which was amazing. They walked down the aisle together at our wedding and totally believe that they got married. It's the cutest thing. Still, I have some really cute pictures from our wedding from that. And he used to tell his teachers that like my girlfriend or my whatever, like is Brooklyn. Yeah. It was great.
While he hit on other people, while he had other girlfriends.
Yeah. Which is a small story because that other person was Kaylee, who then married Zach. We just
did their wedding.
So that's like a long story, a long history of my time there. But we were really good friends with them. But they ultimately decided to move back to Tennessee because that's where Mandy's from. And so that was kind of the catalyst that really, I think, pushed me and gave me the confidence to leave. I think I was ready to leave, but I think I felt like committed to being there. But I did choose to leave and I left before they left. And a big part of that was I was afraid that if I stayed there longer than they did, that I would never leave.
Interesting.
But I would have gotten basically demoted because both restaurants would have been split up.
Right.
And so I would have only been over one. And I was ready.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And sometimes people have see it for what it is or see it however you want. But sometimes it's the good fortune of someone else making a decision that will have a direct impact on your life that catalyzes you to say, is this something I want to or need to or should stick with, or is now the time to take the jump?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it was a rough season. Like that last couple of months was pretty rough. Emotions were very high. It's always hard when you mix business with friendship because it makes things more emotional. And things feel more personal, even when they're not personal, like it just is. I'm super grateful that we've all come out on the other side. Mandy and I talk just about every month, if not more frequently than that, at least text each other. We'll call each other and talk. And I love her. She's one of my best friends. But I think we both had to like have a conversation after the fact to be like, yes, we're friends and we love each other. And like, we're going to be friends and work doesn't matter. Yeah.
And that's really the
We had that conversation multiple times throughout our career too. And we were sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're really good at like drawing that boundary of like, when we're hanging out as friends, we're hanging out as friends. And I think I told you this a couple of days ago, like I can count on my hand the number of times that we would talk about work while hanging out in like the 10 years of friendship that we had.
Right.
And it was only when like big things happened within the restaurant that all of a sudden all hands on deck were needed. And we just happened to be together. But anyway.
I was just going to say, I think that's the mark of a healthy friendship and relationship. I've had a couple friendships, my closest friendships, kind of fizzle out and deteriorate solely because we were really, really great friends and we loved doing things together, but didn't know how to enter into conflict with one another or really anything serious that pertained to ourselves or the other person. We could dive into serious stuff about other things, but I was talking to my sister about this recently. She just had, a interaction with a friend that caused her to have to go into that conflict zone. And ultimately, just like a good relationship, if you can learn how to communicate and work through that conflict, then you can keep progressing forward. But if you can't, that's when the relationship or the friendship starts to really diminish and maybe even go away.
Yeah.
Anyway, wanted to put a button on that and then get to, you jumped from working 9 to 5 into having your own business.
Yeah.
A business that was pretty new to you.
Yeah.
And I remember we had a lot of conversations like, if you could do anything, what would it be?
That's the hardest question you've ever asked me.
Really?
Yeah. Which you would know. I've told you, like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I fall in love with what I'm doing now, which I think is good. Hopefully.
It is good. Well, tell me about, just before we wrap it up, we won't spend a tremendous amount of time on it, but give me some of your fears going into it, your excitements going into it, maybe some of your favorite memories and events, and I don't know, maybe throw in your least favorite if you're feeling fancy. I don't know.
Fancy. Yeah, I mean, you asked me a lot of questions. Let's see if I can go through them. I think I was nervous about if I could make something of it, like if I could actually have a go at it. I've done a lot of research. I've obviously like learned how to do a lot now. Like I'm way more able to do stuff now than I was then. And don't get me wrong, I've sold a lot of things before I actually had them down.
Yeah.
But I always had it down by the time we got to the event. But I think I had to learn like my value and what I'm offering, like the value of what I'm offering is, and not compare myself to everyone around you. I mean, market research is an important part of any business, like knowing like where you land in the market. And at the same time, I'm not someone who's going to undersell myself. And I'm also someone that likes to provide like a great product at like a high quality. And I'm really hard on myself when it's not that way. I remember the first couple events we did, we had a different booth than we have now. And I was like, I just don't like the quality. It's not what I want it to be. Everyone else thought it was great, but I was like, it's not like good enough for me. And so I've worked hard to really have some booths that have like really great quality. I've learned a lot about like, how do you make things look better while at events? How do you adjust? All that stuff. I'm answering questions, but I'm forgetting as I'm going. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I think I was scared that I wouldn't be able to figure all that stuff out, but I have, and I think that's been great. We've been lucky enough to have some people that just trust us and gave us opportunities, which I'm really grateful for. But it's been a fun year. It's crazy to think that it's only been a year since I've done stuff. You talked about like favorite events and least favorite events. Yeah. Least favorite events are harder because I think every event is different. Every event is fun in its own way. I will say though, the hardest event we did was
you don't have to name it. Yeah, you can describe it.
Early on, we did an event with a bunch of I'll say a bunch of high schoolers.
Yeah.
And it was really windy. They moved where we were. We were supposed to be inside. They moved us outside last minute, didn't tell us. So we had to like, good thing we was close to home so we could go and get the things we needed.
Like sandbags. Like
extra sandbags. And for any of you that have seen my photo booth, you understand that when we put our backdrop up, it's basically a sail.
Yeah. It's a big
sail. So
not literally, but it catches the wind.
It catches the wind. Yeah. So that was a tough one. I remember standing on the sides and you and I just like kind of holding the backdrop while trying to direct people on how to like take their pictures, which is like so different than how we normally run a booth. We're going to be very interactive, but it was like, try to make sure this doesn't fall over like backwards and also doesn't fall over to hit anybody. But they also broke our backdrop in that because they weren't listening. You know, boys can be rambunctious. And so I think they tried to get like 15 or 16 people in a photo, which we can totally do, just not when you're super rowdy and you push back and bend the poles of my backdrop that were then broken afterwards. And when you talk about like worse, that's probably worse because we left with like broken things.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I'm just so tired from holding up this backdrop. And our printer didn't work because we were so far away from the Wi-Fi.
Well, let's clarify that. Our printer was fine, but because they chose to move the event like 500 yards away from where it was supposed to be, their internet didn't reach. And so we ended up having to print out like 500 photos.
And give it to them.
It it was not a lot.
It worked out well. They've hired us back every
we've done like 4 more events.
Yeah. I'm doing one in the next couple of weeks for them. So it's great. It was just a really big learning experience for me where I was like, okay, like I had all these stuff locked down beforehand, but like I need to really make sure. The most fun event I think we've done thus far, it probably the Huff wedding, to be completely honest, because I've always said since we started that I felt like I was a year 3 business in our first year. And I say that because we're getting gigs that I don't think 1-year businesses would get.
Right.
And so the Huff wedding was kind of a cool thing for me to be like, wow, like this person, this coordinator, which is Troy, trusts us enough and believes in us and knows that we provide quality enough stuff that he's going to like let us be, which sounds weird to say, but he's going to bring us into this event. I know he loves us. We love him, but like, it's also his reputation on the line a little bit too, of like, I'm telling you that this person is great. So like, trust me. And so like, we want to follow through with that. And we did our photos in motion. We did our glam booth with our silver pearl paper. And it was so fun. And the people were so fun. Like, I think we haven't really talked about that, but like, it was just a fun experience all around. It was great.
Yeah. And back to your point earlier, when you're like, there's things that we've booked that we haven't had totally down yet, but by the time we get there, it's like locked in. That event was a perfect example. Yeah. And you were bringing new things to the table. Like, I can't tell you how many times people came into your booth the first night when it was photos in motion, which are photos that move, literally in your hand move.
Think of like a GIF that moves.
Yeah, and people were like, I've never seen this.
I know.
And you were doing something, not only that, like, this was one of the first times you had done it, but it was like one of the first times anyone has done it. Or anyone has ever seen it. Yeah. So it was really cool. Those were fun ones.
That was a fun one, yeah. And my most surprising one was Rosalind's 50th with Troy as well. I knew it was burlesque themed. I don't think I understood what that meant. And I just remember, I think I've told you the story. I've never said it on the podcast, but I brought my friend Mark, who I used to work with at the restaurant. And I had like kind of prepped him, but like didn't really know. We were split that day because you were working another photo booth event as well as officiating a wedding. And then you were working an event for me. Shout out to Ashley May for joining you on that one. Woo. But I brought my friend Mark. And it was such a fun event. It was super fun. But I just didn't know what burlesque meant. And I distinctly remember Mark was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, like now's a great time because everyone's looking at the dance floor. I don't know what's happening. I can't see. Like there's people standing. So we had gone up, the bathroom was upstairs. We had gone up there to like go use the restroom. And in the time frame that he was gone, the burlesque show had started. And I didn't understand and didn't know that she would just can I say this? That she would just be like stripping, basically on the dance floor to a dance. I just didn't know. Yeah, I didn't process burlesque and what that meant. And I'll never forget it because she had like pasties on. I think with tassels or something. And she was like walking off the stage, and she was going to walk up the stairs to where Mark had gone to the bathroom. And I remember watching him. He's coming down the stairs and she's going up the stairs. And I've never seen someone have bigger eyes than he did because he was so shocked and so surprised. His eyes got so big and he just looked at me like, oh my God, what is happening? Yeah. Like you could see it on his face where he was like, what is going? And everyone's looking at him because they're all watching her walk off. It was the funniest thing. It was so great to be there. Like it was fun, but I was just I just didn't know. And I didn't talk him through it, but it was a really fun event. Like I said, it was the most shocking for me because I didn't know. I had no idea.
The one event of yours that I miss.
Sucker.
The best one.
They were so nice too. They came in the booth a couple times.
Yeah, of course.
I have great pictures of them.
I have a story kind of like that, but I'll save it because I know we've got a lot. We haven't even gotten through our weeks yet. Okay. But anything else you want to add on before we move away from the work anniversary?
Thanks to everyone that's watching, all your support for my business as well. I see you guys. I see you guys follow my page. I see you guys share with me, with your friends. And I just appreciate it so much. I'm proud of my business. I'm proud of where we'll go in 2024 as well. And the rest of this year, of course. But yeah, it's been a fun ride and I'm excited to see what happens next.
I love it. I'm excited too. Speaking of, I wanted to hit real fast. Speaking of people who are supporting our business and us supporting theirs, we had a photo shoot this weekend with our friend Jill from Jilly Tarts. Yep. She just decked out this new trailer. It's like a bar trailer, coffee bar trailer, hors d'oeuvre trailer, whatever you want for private events.
Yeah. It's like a vintage trailer, I think is what she's calling it. Yes. Jilly's Coastal something.
Social.
Coastal Social, yeah.
Yes, and Jilly is amazing. If you're not already following her, I believe
Jilly's
it's
Tarts.
at Jilly Tarts or at Jilly's Tarts.
Jilly's with an S Tarts.
On Instagram. Totally worth checking out.
So good. And they're so delicious. Key lime, white chocolate raspberry, chocolate. Yum.
Yeah, so she does tarts.
They're delicious.
They're amazing.
And then she also has a trailer.
I'm a tart boy. Like tarts.
Key lime pie. Key lime tart. Yeah.
Yeah, pies, cakes, you can hold them. Take them. I don't need them. But cakes are... forget cakes, but cakes. No, pies and tarts are my jam. So we did that with her. That was really fun. We had a couple other things. First, I shot a commercial this week.
Ooh.
It's been a big summer for me in commercials.
That's great.
This is the second commercial that I've shot. The first one was for a company. I don't know that I could say it yet because it hasn't come out.
Yeah.
But a little bit more obscure, man on the street style interviews. And the second one was similar for a nationwide grocery store chain.
Yeah.
Also don't know if I can directly talk about it yet, but that was really fun because we got to go into their stores. We got to like test out the products with actual customers. I got to do kind of like a spokesperson role for the store, and that was really fun. So
look out for his face on your TV soon.
That's right. You got your announcer voice on now.
Thank you.
I like it. So that was a lot of fun. Love doing more work on camera. It's really fun. That is a pivot that I've been making and trying to do more of. Pardon me. So really happy about that. If you can remember all the way back to last Monday, you went to the Beyoncé concert.
Oh, yeah, I did.
On her birthday.
I did. And I saw Ramona, which was so fun for me. Ramona works for Disney on the event side for mostly, I think, premieres and things like that. She is so fun.
We love Ramona.
And I knew she had gone with Michelle, who also works for Disney on the event side, 2 days prior. And I had like reached out to her on Instagram. I was like, oh, that's so fun. I'm going on Monday. And she was like, me too. And I was like, no way. And the funniest thing is I was in section 230 on the aisle, on like the left side of the aisle. She was in section 228 on the right side of the aisle. So there was literally just like one section in between us. And I couldn't get to her because security wouldn't let me get there. But I remember like texting her and being like, I think I see you. And we both stood up like 2 minutes before the concert and like waved at each other. And we were so happy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's right there. That's my fun story about Ramona.
That's awesome. It was you and Sean, right?
Yeah, my brother took me. He surprised me with tickets and took me to Beyoncé. Got to wear silver and like do crazy fun makeup. So it was really, really fun. Sofi needs to get their, I don't know if it's Sofi or Beyonce's team. Beyonce was incredible. Their sound and mic situation, not so much. So
yeah, I heard they'd have a guest come out like Kendrick Lamar, and he'd be like, "What's up?" And then all of a sudden, his mic is off for half of a verse.
Yeah, so Kendrick Lamar came out to do a rap portion of one of her songs, and his mic, like you said, was on for it and then off. And then Diana Ross was there to sing "Happy Birthday" to her, and she came out on the stage, and her mic didn't work for a good 30 seconds. I was like, "Get your stuff together!" Like it's Diana Ross. Like, come on.
And as two people who work in production, like. It's I can't imagine the feeling where you're like they haven't unmuted the microphone or whatever. It just gives you that like sick to your stomach feeling of like this isn't working the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there, but anytime that happens, sometimes it happens. It's someone forgets to unmute a mic or a mic gets switched last second or whatever.
For sure.
That happens. But for multiple times, for multiple celebrities to not have their microphones on, I was like, that can't look good for the production side of that.
But it was a fun concert. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, and you weren't even that familiar with her stuff at the time.
No. Admittedly, I know Beyonce songs, like older ones. This new album I hadn't listened to. If you remember maybe like a month ago, we went to the Eras tour. So it's been all Taylor Swift all the time. Mm-hmm. And so like on the day I was like, I'm listening to this album as many times as I can to know as many songs as I can. She did do a lot of songs from past stuff, which was fun. But it was really fun to be there.
Did she do Single Ladies?
No.
Did she do Crazy in Love?
Yes.
Did she do Bootylicious?
No.
I'm a Survivor?
No, that's Destiny's Child.
Still Beyonce.
Yeah, I know. They were there.
Really?
Just not on the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll save all the other people who were there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Go look it up. It was like everybody.
Lots of people. Okay, anything else on that?
No.
Because I want to talk about the highlight of my week.
Dinner.
Because who run the world? Food is the answer to that.
Troy.
Well, we went to dinner with Troy and Craig.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, well, I was going to say food runs the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's basically what runs our life is where to get the next awesome meal. And we went to a new place, which is pronounced...
Bakery.
Bakery.
I got you.
Spelled Bakari.
Bakari.
So I will never have that locked in my mind. So we're going to change things up a little bit. If you're listening, if you're watching, I'm going to give you the dulcet tones of some satisfying food descriptions so you know what it was like and you too can pick your favorite.
Can I say this first though?
Sure.
That was a really fun dinner. We did go to dinner with Troy and Craig on the evening of my 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Of leaving Bumble, which was like a super sweet thing because Troy has hired me so much. But this food place is a Mediterranean Italian fusion.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that before you got into the food descriptions, because it is kind of like things are very different. And so you'd be like, wait, what? But it was delicious. Thank you, Troy, for the recommendation. We enjoyed it. We got perfect seat right at the window. It was great.
It was great. And to Craig, who bought you your work anniversary dessert.
Yes, which was probably the best dessert we had, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. All right. So when I point to you, I need you to say the name of the restaurant like this.
Bakari.
Wow, really nailed it. There's a delay. She can't see the point immediately.
I wasn't ready. Bakari.
Nailed it. All right.
I'm going to say
Hit
that.
the music! Hello and welcome to
Bakari.
the newest, hottest place right here on Ventura Boulevard. Has anyone been to
Bakari.
before? Okay, great. Well, let me tell you some of the items that you're going to eat tonight. The first is the burrata caprese. It's a house-made baguette with pesto and burrata. Then you'll have the grilled pita stuffed with ground beef, amba aioli, and pistachio. Next up are the scallops. Don't need to describe them because we know what they are. And then you're going to love the Oaxacan pasta. It's chicken and Israeli spice mix, cabbage. Nope, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's my first day working here at
Bakari.
Thank you. Let's talk about the Oaxacan pasta. It's handmade Oaxacan cream, romesco, tomatoes, not tomatoes at all, toasted almonds, and cilantro. Did I mention it's my first day working at
Bakari?
Dang, we're really getting it down. Next up, we're going to bring out not one, but two shawarma tacos with chicken, Israeli spice mix, cabbage, pickled red onion, and garlic tahini. If you're still hungry after that, we're bringing out the glazed pork belly, umami mulling glaze, sesame seed, lemon, cilantro, and scallions. Troy's favorite, scallions.
He hates them.
And I know you'll still be hungry, so how about some stuffed mushrooms with 5 cheese blend, toasted pecan, basil, walnut pesto, parmesan, and parsley. Then we'll bring out the Asian pear and brie pizza. That's what right. That's white. I'd be a terrible waiter. Let's just
Waiters don't talk
kill
like
the music.
Waiters don't talk like that. So you wouldn't be. Whatever this is, yes, but what a waiter, no.
I don't know who this is. But yeah, so then the next thing we ate was the Asian pear and brie pizza, which was guava fromage blanc, wild arugula, gray salt olive oil. I promise there's just a few things left, but I want you to get a total feel for what we did here. Then we had the bread pudding, which was clover honey custard, vanilla bean ice cream, followed by double chocolate cake, which was chocolate pudding, actually, hazelnut brittle on that. And then we can't leave out the drinks. I don't remember this. Oh, no, I do remember both. We have the strawberry fizz drink, which was vodka, strawberry, lemon, and soda. Mm-hmm. And then the espresso yourself, which was an espresso martini. The reason I read all of these is for one, for you to go, wow, that all sounds so delicious. And two, for you to hear each of our top 3 favorite foods from there and our bottom 1. Kelly, do you know what your tops were?
I do. I just need to look at my phone so I can remember all the things that you just said.
Perfect. I'll start with my top 3. My top 3 favorite things were the burrata caprese.
Yum.
Which was amazing because I do love pesto, so it was perfect for me. Then the Oaxacan pasta, which had a lot of basil in it. It was kind of pesto-y. It was very like al dente type pasta. Mm-hmm. We ended up ordering 2 of those because it was so good. And then for me, you didn't have this, just Craig and I had these.
I know.
The shawarma tacos.
Yum.
To be fair, if you put pickled red onions on any taco, it is going to probably be my favorite. I don't know why I love it so much, but I love it. So my top 3, burrata caprese, Oaxacan pasta, shawarma tacos.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I really like the burrata caprese too. The bread was so good. You could tell it was probably made in-house. It was delicious. The pasta was my number 1. I would just go back and keep eating that pasta over and over again. It was so good. We all really liked it too.
Yep.
And then the stuffed mushrooms, I really, really liked.
Really? Because I know you like mushrooms, but I'm surprised that it's
it was
top 3.
They were really good. I liked the espresso martini over the strawberry fizz.
I'm going to be honest. Strawberry fizz could have been my least favorite thing. Not because it wasn't delicious, but it was not a lot of liquid in the whole thing. It was mostly like muddled strawberries.
Yeah.
Definitely not any booze in there, really. And it just didn't bring the flavor.
Yeah, there was another drink that I wish I would have tried that I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was red. That's what I remember about it. So maybe next time we go, we'll get some Oaxacan pasta and that other red drink.
That's what I'm Oaxacan about.
And
Nothing?
Oaxacan about?
That's what I'm Oaxacan about. Thank you. Moving on. And your least favorite?
I didn't particularly like the desserts. Actually, I don't think any of us did. But we did. Right across the street was a ice cream truck. I'm talking about like soft serve. And we went over and got twists, which is chocolate and I was gonna say strawberry, chocolate and vanilla together. That was my favorite dessert.
Yeah,
it was the best.
I didn't have any of that dessert.
No, but it was great.
My least favorite thing, and I was so bummed because I wanted it to be great. I think I wasn't the only one who picked it, but
bread pudding.
No, well, we did talk about we wanted the bread pudding, but unfortunately both the desserts were just kind of meh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because everything
else
was
delicious.
So, everything was so flavorful. It was just kind of a weird ending to it. But my least favorite of the entrees was the Asian pear and brie pizza.
That was mine too. And it wasn't even that bad. And I think that speaks a lot to this bakery and like how good their food is. But I left going, I think maybe we should have gotten like the margarita pizza or the other one that had bacon that I can't remember.
But I love fruit. I love fruity things. I thought this pizza would be right up my alley. But
it was good.
It was good, not great.
Yeah, I needed something that was more of a flavor kick.
Exactly.
But I don't know what that would have been.
All right. Well,
maybe fig jam. Who knows?
Believe it or not, we've finally wrapped up our week at almost 40 minutes.
That's our week.
Yeah. So goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to say one thing, though. What we didn't talk about this week, because it happened yesterday, our daughter auditioned for the talent show. Which was pretty fun. So wait till you hear more about that, because we'll be sharing more about the talent show as it gets closer. She auditioned, and just, it's a weird thing. I get the whole child learning experience. I get it all, but I don't understand everybody getting through and not being told no. An audition's an audition. You get a yes or a no. Not at this school. If you audition, you're in. It doesn't matter if you just spin across the stage or you sing flat. You make it.
Kelly comes down pretty hard, especially on the singers.
But it's not just elementary school kids. This is elementary and middle school. And we have to sit through this talent show.
I know.
That's going to be filled with like 200 acts. Not really, but like.
Yeah. We'll get to it when we get closer. But yeah, talent show auditioned. Now we've got some shout outs.
Okay.
Which I'm just so you know, I'm like, emails doesn't really encompass what we do, because we get texts, we get DMs, we get emails. So we're just calling it the shout outs now. Yeah. It's a shout out. Okay. First one came from our friends, Ashley May and Jonathan. Ashley May says, I've got a weird unpopular opinion for you that Jonathan and I were talking about tonight.
All right.
Here it is. Should conjoined twins get one salary or two at a job?
Depends on what the job is.
Jonathan thinks that he's leaning towards one salary because they only have, wait for it, one stomach. That's some interesting logic.
I don't understand that.
Because, like, if you're working to pay for money to feed yourself, you only need one thing. Okay. And you know what? Not all conjoined twins only have one stomach.
Yeah, I don't really know much about it, so I can't speak to this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, you're making assumptions. I don't know.
Yeah. And, like...
What did Ashley May say?
She didn't tell me what she said.
Okay.
I'm assuming, let's see, that they were talking about tonight. I'm assuming they may have had differing opinions on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let's see. I think everyone should get paid for what they do.
Yeah, I said it depends on the job. If it's a telemarketing job where they each have their own phone and they're answering phone calls and talking to people, it's two salaries.
Yes.
If they're a waitress or a waiter, it's one salary because you only have two legs and two arms.
You don't know that. Some people are conjoined at the head.
Okay, I'm just saying when you're normally, I don't know, I don't know a lot about this. I'm just going to say it. But if you're conjoined, it means that you are connected, which means that you can only, like, you can't walk in different directions. So if you're doing something that requires you, listen.
Yes.
You give me such a hard time, but I'm trying to explain myself. If you're doing something that requires you to walk and move, then it's probably one salary. If you're doing something that allows you, like you can sit and you talk and you do that stuff, I think it's two.
I think we are gonna offend some people.
That's true.
A very small percentage of people.
That's just my thought process.
Okay, my thought process is every unique individual deserves unique individual things.
True.
So I'm saying 2 salaries.
Yeah, I say whatever. If you are fulfilling the job, then you should get paid for it.
Done deal.
That's what that means.
All right, I got another one. This one actually came from my sister.
Okay.
Oddly enough, first time writing in. Yeah, Megan said, I've got a question for your podcast. How do you know when you start running out of things to watch on TikTok? For me, it's when it starts playing clips from reality shows. That's from her. For me, I don't know that I have. I saw that. I know if you're listening, you don't know that there's something flying in here.
I saw it earlier.
But with the amount of mosquito bites Kellie contracted again, I know she's freaked out.
And her daughter.
Oh, I know, our poor kid.
She had like as many as I had.
So I think that for me, it's not necessarily the same thing, but when things become irrelevant, what happens is like if I am watching TikTok and it's awesome and wonderful, and then I get stuck on a longer video that I'm interested in, like a podcast, maybe even something political, the algorithm's like, this is what he wants the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I just wanted to watch one little podcast clip, not every podcast ever. So once it becomes irrelevant to me or starts feeding me the wrong stuff, that's when I know that it's time to put the phone down, close out the app, and go straight back to the app and see what's on there. Do you do that all the time? I close out like Instagram or TikTok and I go immediately back to it.
No.
Okay, good for you. Wow.
If I'm done, I'm done. I don't know that I have an answer to this question. My first thought was when I get too many Taylor Swift things back to back. I'm like, because I don't want that all the time.
How do you know that's when you've reached the end? That's what yours always looks like to me.
No, I did during the Taylor Swift Eras Tour in North America.
Specifically?
Yeah, because it's moved out of North America, and so I don't get as much of that anymore. But when I start to get too many things back, I think that's it. I can't really remember. I bet you, while I'm scrolling, I could tell you. But while I'm not actually doing that, I'm like, what is it that makes me go, I'm done? When I start getting boring videos. I get a lot of procedural shows on mine, though, like clips of that.
Is it like people filming their laptops? Is it those?
No. It's like actual clips.
Oh.
Nothing. I mean, things that I've seen. I get like lots of Grey's Anatomy, lots of the show with, well, I don't know what his actual name is, but his character is Logan Huntsberger on Gilmore Girls. He's from The Good Wife, too. He's on this show that I can't remember the name of right now. I get a lot of that.
Is it the doctor show?
It is the doctor show.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I can't remember what it's called. But when I start getting, I think, a ton of those, I'm like,
time to close it down.
Yeah. Or like I said, a ton of Taylor Swift stuff back to back. Yeah. And I love Taylor Swift, so it's saying a lot.
We've got one more, but remember, you can always reach out to us on any of our socials, text us, hit us up, or
and tell us when you stop scrolling on TikTok. Exactly. What's your thing?
Or hit us up at hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com, hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com. But hit us up anyway. You can. But before we get out of the shout outs, we got to get our weekly fact check.
Oh, yeah.
Which will be a week behind now because we haven't released the second part of last week's episode yet. But it's time for Fact Checked by Mark Sweeney. Here's the fact checks for this week. This is when we talk about what we got wrong from last week. So apparently I said that the U.S. has 1,700 new millionaires each year. Do you remember this in the game?
Yeah.
I was off by a little bit.
I thought that seemed wrong.
You thought it seemed high or low?
I thought it seemed really high.
Yeah.
But am I right? Was it too high?
Well, you want to know what the actual number was?
Yeah.
It was 1.7 million new millionaires every year.
What number did you give me prior?
1,700. So it was astronomically too low.
I don't believe him.
He's your father.
I know. Believe him in most things. There's no way that many people can become millionaires. Are you talking about just in
America?
America? Oh my gosh.
I know. We're doing something wrong.
Hey there, millionaires. Reach out to hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com to be a sponsor today.
Dang, I like the spokesperson voice. Next thing, you and I thought that there's a certain cat in the family that has 7 toes.
He does have 7 toes. It's just not on all feet, which I know is what you're about to say right now.
Feet?
It's not on all of his paws, only on his front 2, huh?
Feet?
Yeah, his feet.
So we thought it was 7 on each. No, it is only 7 on the front 2 and 5 on the back, leaving us with a still frightening 24 digits on that cat.
It's still a lot, Dad. I just need you to know. It's a lot.
It's a lot of fingies.
We do love him, though. Lucky, that is.
Whenever we see him, whenever he's not.
He's a good boy.
Prowling as a panther through the neighborhood.
He is a huge cat, too.
He's friggin' huge.
He's big. He's a good cat.
So those are the shout outs for today. I've got, our normal unpopular opinions, our stories, but I know you have something too. Do you want to jump in now or do you want to go through unpopular opinions?
No, I can do mine now.
Let's do it. I'm ready to release control.
Fun facts with me.
She's taking the fun facts, fun backs.
Fun facts back. Don't mind me. I'm so sorry.
Very coffee today.
I know. I got some phlegm in my throat, so I apologize to everyone that's listening to us and hearing me go. Ugh.
Yeah, maybe do it off mic.
I'm trying to. Okay. All right. Fun facts with Kellie. Ever wonder where your favorite superstition comes from? Like when you say knock on wood or you get bad luck if you walk under ladders?
Yes, I have wondered that.
Well, today you're going to find out where they come from with fun facts with me, Kellie.
Karen, Kellie.
All right. I don't have to go through them all because I did look up. I think I have a couple. And by a couple, I mean 7.
Wow.
7. We don't have to go through them all. I don't know if you want to try to guess where it came from or if you just want me to tell you.
I'm definitely going to guess.
Okay. Bad luck under ladders. That's like a common thing that people say. Like, don't walk under a ladder. You'll have bad luck for 7 years, something like that.
Yeah. That was actually true.
It is?
Yes. If you walk under a ladder, you will get 7 years of bad luck.
All right. So tell me where you think it came from. Or like what you, where you think it came from or why you think that is.
Is there a date associated with it or like a date range? Like in the 1800s?
There's a place that it's associated
all right,
with.
give me the place and then that's all I need.
But I will say this. These are very interesting because what happens is they change over time. Which we're going to learn about a little bit later on. But they change or they get added on to over time or get reinforced over time. And so for some of them, and for some of those I've put, this one originated in ancient Egypt, though.
Whoa.
So I'll give you that, and then you can tell me.
That's all I need.
Like, why do you think?
No, I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Ancient Egypt, very superstitious place. A multitude of gods that you pray to.
Mm-hmm.
You were building pyramids because of what happens with life after death.
Ancient aliens really coming in clutch for you right now. All that knowledge.
And aliens, lest we forget aliens,
Okay.
which is probably where it came from.
No.
But here's the deal. Building pyramids, this is not easy stuff. Carving a sphinx, hard. You're gonna need some ladders. And here's the deal. If you walk under a ladder, it's technically an OSHA violation. It's unsafe. And even in ancient Egypt, they couldn't fine people or anything, but they could curse them and give them 7 years of bad luck. That's where it came from.
If you don't know what OSHA is, it's Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration.
Nerd alert.
I am. I was responsible for it at my job.
All right. So just fill in the gaps of what I missed because I know it was pretty close.
A little bit close. Pyramids are a part of it. So the ancient Egyptians thought that the triangle was like a very, it represented, let me read this. It represented the Trinity of the gods. So it was something that was really sacred to them, the triangle. Hence the pyramids being triangles.
The Trinity of the gods? Even though this was before Christianity.
That's just, I didn't look into that part too much, but it does represent the Trinity of the gods for ancient Egypt. But that's why everything's kind of in pyramids. Why the pyramids, triangles. That's why the pyramids are in triangles as well. And so when a ladder leans against a wall, it creates a triangle.
Yeah, but when it leans against a pyramid, there's no space.
That's right.
It's just flat.
We can't walk underneath it then, right? So what they said is that if you pass through a triangle, that was to desecrate a god.
Because it's a triangle.
Because it's a triangle, and because a triangle represents the Trinity of the gods, and because they, ancient Egypt, they really respected their gods. It was a really big deal. So that's why if you walked under a ladder, you'd get bad luck because you desecrated the gods.
I think that's what I said.
Mm-hmm. Later on, you didn't quite say that, actually.
You already
said
agreed.
OSHA violations. Later on, it was reinforced, which you so kindly brought up Trinity of the Gods. Yes, it is a Christian thing. It was, I need to look at my thing like this, but then I block the camera because I can't see it. Let me do it like this. They said that the ladder rested against the crucifix, which is what Jesus was crucified on.
I think we know the story.
Yeah. But it became a symbol of wickedness, betrayal, and death. After that, the ladder did. And then in England in the 1600s, that just got passed on that it would be bad luck if you walked underneath the ladder. And so they actually, all criminals were forced to walk under a ladder on the way to the gallows. So it kind of grew in time. And now we just say it's bad luck to walk under a ladder. And now you know it's because you're desecrating the gods and you could potentially be on your way to death. I guess. I don't really know.
So I
got dark.
Yeah. I mean, I think I nailed it.
Yes.
It's definitely the pyramids. Wow. Here's the deal. Ladders be killing people.
Yeah.
If you are not, I don't know, 18, probably don't go on a ladder. You don't need to be on a roof. You don't need to be on a ladder. People die from being on ladders.
That's true.
All right. What's the next one that I'm definitely going to get right?
If you break a mirror, you get 7 years of bad luck.
Yeah. See, so I'll just jump in here. This is some people care about the Trinity, the triune nature, but for us, it's all about the 7, which is ironic because most people pick their lucky number as 7, but 7 years of bad luck. Yeah. This is it. So give me a clue. I have no idea.
I know. I was like, do you want to know where it originated from? This is another one that built upon itself, but it initially started in ancient Greece.
They had mirrors in ancient Greece?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. In ancient Greece, mirrors were so few and far between. They were so expensive and hard to make that if you broke it, instead of going to jail, which you also had to do, I think it was like 2 to 5 years of jail time. If you break a mirror, you also got cursed with 7 years of bad luck, which is terrible if you're in ancient Greece because there's all these demigods running around. Hercules is throwing lightning bolts at you. Achilles is doing what Achilles does with his heel. It's like, it's a lot. So you don't want to break a mirror in ancient Greece.
Yeah. No. Not at all. It was good though. Good guesses. So ancient Greece, they had Sears.
The department store?
No. But like people that told
seers?
Yeah, people that told fortunes.
Yes.
And the way that they were called mirror seers, who told fortunes by analyzing the reflections of other people. So they called it divinations. They were performed by means of water and a looking glass, which would be a mirror. So the mirror would be dipped into the water and then they'd lift it up and a sick person would look in the mirror. If their reflection was distorted, it means that they would die. And if their reflection was clear, it means they'd live. So pretty straightforward. How did we get to the 7 years of bad luck, though? That's a great question because later on, the Romans added a caveat because they didn't quite like the fact that you could either die or live. So what they said...
New revelation.
They're like, we don't want it. So they said that this was in the 1st century AD. They believed that people's health changed in 7-year cycles. That's what the Romans believed.
Isn't that true of like your skin?
It probably,
like your cells?
Honestly, I think that is true. But that's what they said. They believe that your health changes in 7-year cycles. So if you would do the same thing with the mirror, but instead of outright death, they would say if your reflection was distorted, you would have 7 years of ill health and misfortune.
Dang.
So well, I mean, got better.
Yeah, at least they reined it in a little bit.
I know. Isn't that crazy though?
That's nuts. It's nuts that we believed in that stuff. Although some people believe in weirder things now. Who knows what to believe. But I'm glad they scaled it back. You're no longer going to die. You're just going to be sick for 7 years. Sometimes it's worse than dying.
How many more do you want?
At least one more for sure.
This one I might do one more after this, but this one I wanted to do for my mom and my dad because Lucky, the 7-toed fingered cat,
the 24-digit cat,
is a black cat. And we all know that people say if you cross a black cat, it's bad luck.
Yes. We all know that. I think it's if you see a black cat.
Yeah, if you see a black cat, especially during Halloween.
But definitely don't cross him.
Well, if they cross like your path is what it is. Anyways, why do you think that is?
This one is, I've never had an easier time explaining something.
Okay.
Cats are the devil. And if you cross the devil, you're playing with fire in your life. I don't think I need to even explain more.
Okay. I just want to hold on to that because I'm not going to say whether you're right or wrong yet.
Am I right?
You're close, but can I say this?
No, I think we should leave it there.
No, because I have to tell you, he actually kind of got it right, guys, but I'll tell you why. But first, can I say this? That black cats, like originally, were a sign of good luck.
Until...
let me talk about this. Ancient Egyptians, as we all know, revered cats.
Yes.
Like cats were really
Mummified
important.
Them, yeah.
Yes, they were really important. And so they actually, they believed that they were gods, that cats were gods. So they were really revered. So they were good luck in ancient Egypt. Then you move forward to the 17th century. King Charles I had a treasured black cat that he believed was his good luck charm. And when the cat died, he lamented that all of his good luck was gone, which was then backed up by the fact that the day after his cat died, he was arrested and charged with high treason. So those two things, we were saying cats are good luck. Then you fast forward to the Middle Ages in Europe when witches were a thing. People believed that they were familiars, which is known as companions for witches.
Still a thing, by the way.
Or even witches, what?
Witches, still a thing.
Yeah, in disguise. Yes, but that's when like it was introduced, right? And then they believed that if a cat crossed your path, it was bad luck. And it was a sign that the devil was watching you.
Okay, so I nailed it. 3 for 3, man. I killed this game.
1 for 3.
I got, the first 2 I got right. So like if you add it to this last one, it's 3 for 3.
Sure.
All right. I like your fun facts, but before we get to your last one.
Yeah. I have like 3 more, but I'm only going to share 1 more.
Yeah, we can do more later. You have to tell everyone listening and watching how this even started. Well, I didn't know what you were bringing to the table. We were in bed and Kelly said, correct me if I'm wrong before you
My nose was
coughing.
itchy.
Yes. And she goes, oh, my nose is itching. It means someone's thinking about me. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a superstition. Here's the deal. I looked it up.
It's not.
It is. I'm not talking about that on this show because when I looked it up, I'm not even kidding you when I say there were like 30 different things related to your nose itching and what it could mean.
Okay. So
I was like, I want to look into some of this other stuff first.
If you were like, well, I mean, if you walk under a ladder, some people think you break your mom's back, and some people think it's 7 years of bad luck, and some people think you're going to get food poisoning. Some people think you're going to die. Some people think you're just going to be cursed. Then it's not generally accepted. It's not.
A lot of people think that, but it's not that it's not generally accepted. It's that what it means and who's thinking about you changes. Like it was like if your nose itches, it means that someone's talking about you behind your back, or it means that if it's on the left side, it's a female. If it's on the right side, it's a male. Like it was really specific. I was like, I am not going to talk about this right now.
What you said,
yeah, because
someone was thinking about you, and I was like,
and that's right.
Hi, crazy.
No,
what are you talking about? You're like, no, everyone knows this,
except for you, apparently.
Except for anyone on the internet. I'm not having this conversation with you right now.
All right, the number 13.
But y'all know I'm right.
Let's do my last one. I might do one more after
this. Did you say it's number 13?
No, it's like the number 13 is bad luck.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, it's because it's a prime number and nothing is divisible by it. And I thought there was more.
No.
You're like gonna tell me a story. So yeah, it's a prime number. It's not divisible by anything but itself, which is always bad luck. Hence the 7 years, prime number. Hence the other prime numbers that I don't know, bad luck. And then this actually comes from, this is an old one when people cared more about numerology and numbers.
Oh, okay.
So this is older. I think maybe this was the average lifespan of a person was like 13 years. Yeah. And so there's a little bit of like sadness to think about coming to the end of your young life just as you're hitting your teenage years. And so I think that's from what I've read, that's what has caused the number 13 to be associated with
bad luck.
Bad luck, yeah.
No. But there is a word that describes this.
Oh, does it have anything to do with what I said?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. You made it seem like I had one thing right.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm going to butcher this, but it's a phobia. It's triskaidekaphobia.
Oh, triskaidekaphobia is crazy. It's when you're afraid of Triscuits and other crackers that are similar.
No, it's fear of the number 13.
It's actually more common than you think.
It's fear of the number 13. That's literally the name of this. Triskaidekaphobia.
What were we talking to Craig about where he had a phobia and we were trying to name it?
I don't know.
I know you're saying it into your car right. Actually, Craig, you're going, what are we talking about? What was it? And then you'll know it and you're going to shout it at me and I'll be like, I can't hear you.
But text us. Let us know.
Yeah.
Do you want to
send me the thumbs up.
Do you want to know why number 13 is
Yeah, tell me about
luck?
the triple decker phobia.
Yep, that's nailed it. So you might have heard of a little place called Valhalla in Asgard.
I told you it was old. Yeah.
It is old. It's a Norse mythology tale.
Yeah.
That they were having 12 gods were invited to a dinner in Valhalla. And Loki, which we all love and know, the god of strife and evil.
Mm-hmm. And mischief.
Yeah. I mean, I think they changed it for the movie, but
I get all of my real news from movies.
Yeah. But he crashed the dinner which bumped it up to 13 attendees.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a battle, and he killed Balder, which was the favorite god among them. So it started
Thor
there.
Thor was the favorite.
I don't know that he was at this dinner.
He was busy.
Yeah, I have no idea. It didn't
he was
tell
on
me.
Earth with
just said that they
Jessica Gardner.
Yeah.
Jessica Gardner. Jennifer Gardner.
No,
I don't remember who was in the
Is
first
it not
two Thor
Natalie
movies.
Portman?
It's definitely Natalie Portman. I'm glad I brought it up because it was Natalie Portman that he was down there
And
with.
you say that you do the premieres for all Marvel movies.
I did not do the first two Thor premieres,
Okay.
but I did do Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And I don't think I did Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But those were the two movies that had a lot of fun. And also, I don't think Jennifer Gardner.
It's not Jennifer Garner.
It's
Natalie
definitely-
Portman.
What did I say?
Jennifer Garner.
I said Natalie Portman.
No, you didn't.
Listen to the tape.
All right. Roll
And
it back.
actually, Natalie Portman is definitely in Love and Thunder because she becomes someone in that.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not
I mean,
going
it's
to
old
say.
enough now.
It's
You
like
should have
18
watched
months
it. Yeah.
old. Okay, so like I said, Natalie Portman is 13
Yeah. So
years
13
old.
became like a bad number, a bad omen because of this.
of the Red Wedding episode of Norse mythology.
Yeah. It spread to Europe.
What did?
This fear of the number 13.
Oh,
the
I was
number
like
13
Loki
being,
killing people at
the
dinner
number,
parties?
The number 13 being a bad number. And it was reinforced by the Christian story that we know of the Last Supper with
Little
Judas
less
being
13 candles, yeah.
with Judas being the 13th person at the table and him eventually betraying Jesus.
I'm sorry, is that like a known thing? They're like, it's unlucky because there was 13 people at the Last Supper. Is that a thing?
I don't know. That's just what they're saying.
They don't teach you that at
That's how it was
seminary.
reinforced, is because he was 13th person, he betrayed Jesus, that's also a bad omen. And then, of course, the Tower of Terror. Or not Tower of Terror, but the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Number 13.
I'm sorry, am I
13th
supposed
floor.
to know what this is?
That
Because
was
I
just a
don't.
joke. It's not real.
Okay.
But that's the whole story, is that they go to the 13th floor and then it drops and they die.
Oh, that's it? I thought that
Yes.
was the Cecil Hotel. Available to stream now
No,
on
but
your local
That's
Netflix.
what the Hollywood Tower of Terror, that's why it was a ride at Disneyland, is because it was based off the movie.
Tower of Terror?
Yeah.
There's a movie about the Tower of Terror?
The Hollywood Tower Hotel. Oh my God.
Tune in next week when I get filled in on whatever this is.
The last one I wanted to say, because it's quick, but opening an umbrella inside is bad luck.
Oh, yeah, because it's stupid. There's no rain. There's no sun. There's no sleet nor hail. You can deliver mail indoors anytime. You don't need an umbrella. So I think it's just like, don't be an idiot.
No.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was started in ancient Egypt and the pharaohs, and I couldn't really find a lot of information about that, but they said something about the palm fronds and stuff like that on the inside. Who knows? But it really became popular in the Victorian England era, because back then umbrellas were had stiff, clumsy spring mechanisms, and the umbrellas had rigidly spoked umbrellas. So when it would pop open, it would hurt people and it would break things. And so it was bad luck, because if your umbrella popped open, it was likely that you were going to hurt somebody, like really injure somebody and break stuff. So that's actually where that started. So it doesn't exist anymore because now they're a little bit safer.
So we can open umbrellas inside.
100%.
I can't even tell you the amount of umbrella-related injuries back in Victorian England. So many children with eyes that got poked by a
I just want you to know, I
prong.
tried to look up like the worst injury in Victorian England of umbrellas, and I couldn't find anything. But I was like, that would be so fun to share. Nothing.
Oh,
But I'm sure someone's eye got poked. I'm sure.
yeah. Well, I read this thing. It was like, blimey, the governor of
Oh my
New Brunswick
gosh.
murdered with a
Oh
simple umbrella.
My goodness.
Would he have survived had he been outdoors? The world will never
Never
know.
know.
I don't know what accent that is.
I
It's
don't know
definitely not British, though.
But those are my fun facts with Kelly. And hopefully if you had some of those superstitions, you now know where they come from, and you don't have to subscribe to them anymore if you don't want to.
Subscribe to us and unsubscribe from your
Or
superstitions.
you can have some fun dinner party facts to share at your next dinner party.
All those dinner parties you're throwing.
I don't know. It's just fun facts to share.
Fun facts. I love it. That's one of my favorite things. That's why I love stories so much, too. But before we get to stories, we are in our unpopular opinions. I'm going to say it here live because if I say it here, I'm more inclined to follow through on it.
Okay.
Kelly and I were talking about it the other day. We intentionally haven't done any social media accounts for the show because the idea of building social media on top of all of the work that it is to build the podcast and cut it up and all that just seems like a lot. But what I think I'm going to do over the next couple weeks, if you've been voting on these, as a lot of people have on my personal Instagram, Sean Patrick DJ, that's SEAN Patrick DJ on Instagram. Everyone's enjoying those. I think I may, in the next couple weeks, start letting people know, hey, if you want to keep doing these, we're going to move unpopular opinions voting over to an Instagram channel that's specifically for the show and
which
use
we
that.
haven't picked yet.
Which we have not picked, so we'll tell you when it's coming out. You'll see it on Instagram. So now you're the first ones to know. But this week, like every week, we have put out the unpopular opinions out on the webs. Kelly, have you seen them?
No.
Kelly does not look
I was
at them.
like, do I? No, I have not.
Much like Craig, Kelly too does not watch her spouse's story.
Solidarity.
That's right. Okay, so I've got 10 this week, I believe. Math. And how it usually goes, we've got some unpopular ones. We've got some close to 50-50 ones, some polarizing ones that are one way or the other. So we're going to start with our first 3 polarizing opinions. These are the ones that
let's do it.
Skewed very far in one direction. The first one was the overwhelming majority of people who claim their pets as support animals are lying.
Yes.
92% agreed with you. Only 8% disagreed.
But did you know there's only 2 questions you're allowed to ask people when they bring their pets into places?
Hit me with them.
I have to think about it. One is like, my dad's going to be like, this is the 2 questions. One is what
service
is he providing? And
can I see his papers?
No, you cannot ask for their papers.
Do they have papers?
Well, that would be, you can't ask anything that violates the person's privacy, which is weird because you can ask what service they're providing, which technically gives away what that person has. You can ask what service they provide, and I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, so just Google that stuff. Well, while you look it up, all I have is more unpopular opinions to talk to you about.
Okay.
Okay, second one. It's not healthy for you and your partner to be your only friend. I'm sorry. Why are you laughing at that? Because we're each other's only friends? Yeah. It's kind of weird doing a podcast to no one.
Oh, yeah,
This podcast is we just listen to it together.
It's just ourselves. Wait, can I just circle back? Is the dog a service animal required because of disability? And what work or task has a dog been trained to perform? Those are the questions you can ask. That's it.
That's it.
You can't ask why do you need them?
Now, technically, you can ask whatever you want if you're not a business. If you're a human, you can do whatever you want. But also, let people be people. I don't know.
Anyways, it's not healthy.
It is not healthy for your partner to be your only friend.
Yeah, I think that's true. Although you are my best friend.
You're my best friend.
Aw. But I do think it's important that we have friends outside of that. I think you would agree.
Should we take auditions for friends?
We could. I think I have enough friends.
Well, everyone agreed with you. 91% agreed that it is unhealthy and 9% disagreed.
Where do you stand?
I agree with it, although I do not do it.
Subscribe to it.
Yeah, I agree that it's correct, but I don't follow through in my own life with that. Number 3, this is the last of the polarizing opinions.
Okay.
Which only become polarized when I see the results.
Yep.
Is when men hold up a fish in their dating profile picture, it's actually cute and wholesome.
Hold up a fish?
Yeah, like, look at this giant bass I caught. This is the type of man I am. I'm outdoorsy and can protect you. It's
actually what?
It's actually cute and wholesome.
No.
You are correct. Now, this is the least of the polarizing, but still pretty polarized. 2/3 of the people, over 2/3, 77% said it was not cute or wholesome, which is what I would say.
Yeah, I also think we live in the wrong demographic for that. Because maybe if you live in like Minnesota or wherever you do a lot of fishing, they could be like, yeah, that'd be like, but I'm like, no.
Also,
hold up a cupcake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, look at that cupcake.
I was talking to our friend Shim, and she's like, I want to have a service where I help people with their dating profiles.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great. You should absolutely do that. She's like,
Shim.
You need a puppy picture.
Yep.
You don't need a fish picture.
Yeah.
Not a goldfish, not a sea bass.
Picture with your mom.
Sure. Show a picture with a group of people, but don't let that be your first photo because then no one knows who you are. Yep. So I think me, you, and Shim can go into business here. We'll start our own thing.
Let's do it.
Another thing that I want to throw in on top of this, they said fish. I saw this on TikTok, and someone asked a girl, a guy asked a girl, what's a red flag for you in a guy's room? And she goes, a flag. Yeah. And then he goes, wait, why? And then it cuts to a dude. He's like, the first red flag is a flag. The second red flag is that you don't understand why. I was like, that's kind of genius. Now, to clarify, we're not just talking about an American flag or a country flag. We're talking a team flag. Yeah, any type of flag that's hung on your wall is a red flag. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you're an adult, you don't need a flag of something in your room.
Yeah, have art.
Yeah, have some
pictures,
some foliage.
Yeah.
Some mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like we have in our fall background.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some runner-ups before we get to our official controversial opinions, unpopular opinions. The runners-up are, number 1, never having been in a relationship should not be a red flag.
I agree with that.
You are in the majority, but not by much. 64% agreed with that and 36% disagreed.
Yeah, I don't think that means anything. I think a lot of people focus on different things, and not everyone needs to date all the time.
I agree.
Although I do think that dating is an important part of learning, figuring out who your perfect partner will be.
Let's please spend a second talking about that.
And I think the unfortunate part about our history and at least for me, is when you grow up in the church, it's called courting. And you court in groups of people. It's never really one-on-one. It's in groups of people, which I think can be good, but also it's a lot of pressure. You court someone to marry them. There's no like, we're just dating to date.
That's it. There's no dating for fun or for getting to know things. The expectation is if you're dating someone, it's with the intention to marry them.
Yeah. And I'm really,
not even the intention to figure out if you should marry the person.
Yeah.
It is if you're dating,
you're going to get married. And everyone is like, that person's taken. Yeah, my mom was really the one who pushed me. And I remember I fought back, I think, against it a lot. Now I understand more as I'm older, but she was the one who was like, you need to date people. You need to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And I now know that's true. And I will give and push along that advice to Brooklyn when she's old enough to date people, which is not now. But I think it's really important for you to date people. You find out what you like, you find out what you don't like, you find out what fits you and what doesn't fit you. And it's important that you do it yourself because you don't want other people telling you what's good or what's bad. You need your friends that are close to you, that you trust, to give you advice and to tell you things too that you don't see. But there's something about hanging out in groups of people where everyone's like, oh, you guys are so cute all the time or whatever, that it's like, oh, even if we don't communicate that well, or like we don't really or like we don't really have a lot in common, it's almost like, but like everyone else is saying it's right. And so like, it's now not letting down this person that I may or may not break up with. You're now letting down
the whole community.
A group of people that you could potentially be ostracized from because they might choose that other person's side or they might choose your side. Who knows? It makes it awkward for a while.
Yeah.
So,
which happened to you and happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So I don't think it's a red flag for someone not to have dated someone before. I do think that it is important to go on dates. Yeah. And just because you go on a date doesn't mean you're boyfriend and girlfriend. Like you can go for coffee. You can go for
that was
lunch.
non-existent too.
That didn't exist.
You wouldn't go on a date with someone you weren't dating. Yeah. There's a lot that, look, you just don't know what you don't know.
I think it's unhealthy. And that's what I'm like. I think there's a lot of mistrust in younger kids in general, but especially in the church, because everyone just thinks everyone's going to have sex with each other all the time, which isn't true. It is true for some people, but it's not true all the time. But I'm like, maybe if you had a little bit more trust, there would be less of that, because it's the like, you can't do this thing that I think makes people want to do that too. But there's a lot of mistrust, which makes it hard for kids, I think, to grow up well within that community.
I think specifically on the sex part of that, you're like, they think everyone just wants to sleep with each other. Yeah. Which I think when you're a hormonal teenager, there is a very heightened sense of like desire.
For sure.
At the same time, and we talked about this at dinner on Thursday, this is a Buddhist philosophy that if you push against something, if you resist against something, it still has you. The illustration that Ram Dass uses is like a person who's quitting smoking, and they're like, I haven't smoked in 6 months, 4 days, 3 hours, and 12 minutes. And he's like, someone's going to die from not smoking, because it is still so much, you're pushing against it that it's encompassing and encapsulating your whole personality. Yeah. So pushing against something can be just as intriguing and capturing, so to speak, as not doing it or doing it or whatever. Yeah. You know, that's why it's a big thing for us with Brooklyn. This has nothing to do with sexuality and everything to do with language. We talked to her about adult words, which we've talked about on the show before, because I want her to not hear certain words and feel like they are magic or forbidden or special at all. There's only some words, hate speech, that we tell her those are bad words. Those are bad words. Other things are adult words. Yep. Because she's going to hear things and be exposed to things at school that we are outside of our control. But it's the same reason why I love watching videos of dads who are like, I'm teaching my daughter how to play guitar, so when your dumb son plays Smoke on the Water, she's not impressed. Yeah. Or I'm taking my daughter out to sushi, so when your dumb son takes her to Panda Express, she's not going to be blown away. Yeah. Like, That's what it is for me is teaching Brooklyn, like, here's what's normal. Here's how you should be treated. Don't be blown away or surprised when someone treats you at the basic normal level.
Oh, yeah.
To answer the original unpopular opinion, I don't think it's a red flag if you haven't been in a relationship. I think it's worth talking about if you're about to get into a relationship with a person.
To understand why.
Yeah, but also age and stage is a big thing.
Yeah,
if you're 15 and never in a relationship, it makes a lot of sense.
If you're 35.
If you're 50 and not in a relationship, then it probably goes to say like, well, what's it been for you? Have you been happy the way, on your own? Has it just not worked out? Has it not been something interesting to you? Like whatever it is. But I don't think it's necessarily a red flag.
Yeah. I think it's a red flag if the person doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a red flag for me in most things.
Yeah.
I also think that there's certain things that you don't have to talk about, which
That's true.
I learned. I used to think that I needed to know everything.
Yeah, you did.
Turns out I don't, and I'm happier if I don't, and it comes up organically.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last one before we get into our top 4.
Okay.
A lot of dogs are low-key annoying.
Did we not just talk about this in the car?
Did we?
Kind of. I don't think that dogs are low-key annoying. I think I really like all animals. I think some dogs are harder to interact with than other dogs.
When I say dogs, I do mean house pets, like the dogs that are not yours that you see in other places.
Yeah, I don't think that they're annoying. I think it's always just hard to navigate.
Yeah, I think what it really is if it's not your dog, it is always going to be more challenging.
Yeah, except for unless you're close with them. Like I look at Scooter, who is your mom's dog. Oh, I love that dog.
So weird.
I know. He's the best little corgi. And he loves me and I love him. But yeah, I think it just depends. I mean, like, this is weird. Simon's dog, Milo, I've known Milo since Milo was a puppy.
Yeah.
Milo forever. And Milo is kind and loves me and knows me and interacts with me and all that stuff. And he's fine. But I do know that you can go to some other places and meet some other dogs. And you're like, oh, wow, this dog's a jumper.
Yeah.
Like, I think dogs aren't awkward. Like I said, I think it's awkward interacting with them because what I watch happen sometimes is like a dog will jump on you and you'll be like down or like push the dog away. Like things you've learned of like how to deal with dogs. And sometimes it's almost as if you get in trouble for protecting yourself from this dog that you don't know. That's the part to me that becomes annoying where I'm like,
parent my animal.
Yeah. But I'm like, if your big German Shepherd is jumping on me,
right,
I'm going to kindly push him off and tell him, no, thank you, or no, or down, or stop.
Yeah.
Because I have boundaries on my body, and that does not include a dog tackling me to the ground.
Yeah. I have a dog story that just happened, but I can't talk about it yet. So once the NDA is up, I can talk about it. But I had a big dog story that was embarrassing. Oh, but I can tell this story. Speaking of German Shepherds, when I was a child, our next door neighbor or someone on our block had a German Shepherd that I'm talking like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Would always bite my butt and like pull me to the ground. Yeah. So I love dogs, but as I've gotten older, I'm kind of like, I don't really care.
Yeah. I think I've said this a lot to you. I want a dog at some point in time. We can't do cats because you're allergic, which I grew up with lots of cats and I do love cats. But I want like an Australian Shepherd. I want like a snuggly dog that's bigger than a corgi because I want them to have longer legs. Yeah. Although I do love the corgis that have been in our life.
Yeah, they've been great.
An Australian Shepherd, a Labrador Retriever, something like that.
Yeah.
Still kind of big, but not
that's
a
what
greyhound.
we're talking about. Yeah. Not huge, but
Yeah,
medium-sized dogs. Well, 69% agreed. Nice. 31% disagreed that a lot of dogs are low-key annoying. And that's the last of our runner-ups.
Okay.
So let's get into this week's top 4 controversial and unpopular opinions. Number 1, a glass of water in the morning is more effective than coffee.
That is true. You should drink a glass of water in the morning before you have anything else.
This one was real close.
Yeah.
51 to 49%.
Yeah.
51%
it's because health-wise, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to start your day with a glass of water. And then you can have other stuff, but it kind of gets your system moving and going.
It's hilarious because, coffee gets my system moving and going, and this is our second coffee of the day.
Yeah, we didn't
drink the first cup. And that might be your first sip of water
I know.
of the day.
I don't say that I prescribe to it all the time. I just say...
Is that the right word? Prescribe to it?
I don't know. Subscribe to it?
Ascribe to it?
Ascribe to it? You tell me.
You know what? Let's just not scribe to it. Get that H2O. Stay hydrated, baby.
Water.
Smart water,
it's
nonetheless.
The best thing in the morning.
Look, I agree. I think probably science would back that up, that it's better, but in terms of my life...
Coffee.
Yeah. Number 2, kids don't owe their parents anything.
That's true.
Really?
It's a hard one for me. They don't owe me anything. well, I have one child. Kids don't owe their parents anything. And at the same time, I do think it's important that kids respect the space that they're in.
Yeah.
Which I guess could be owing something, but we talk about this all the time. It's like the one thing that I think we have conversations about a lot about Brooklyn. Cause I live in a world where I'm like, I feel like I'm cleaning up. I've told you this before, cleaning up after people all the time. And I know I struggle with it in my own life. Yeah. I understand that. But I struggle when she goes into her room and we've spent time cleaning it and then she explodes it, which is a normal kid thing to do. And then it's a struggle to have her clean it up. And she's like, can you help me? I'm like, of course I'll help her. But my brain goes, I didn't make the mess. Like I've spent all day cleaning up after you and doing your dishes and making dinner and making lunch and picking up your plates and organizing your shoot, whatever. I'm like, you can clean your room. I don't need to come in there to help you pick up the 1 million Legos that you threw on the floor
it's
to build stuff.
Yeah.
And that's probably a polarizing opinion in itself. I'm always happy to help her. But when we talk about owing things, I don't know that she owes that to me or to you, but it is her space. And I think she owes it to herself to respect the space that she's in or the things that she has. Cause she has a problem, and a problem is like a heavy, strong word, but she is the kid who all kids live in the moment. You say that all the time to me. Kids, she just lives in the moment. How great is it she can live in the moment? But she lives so much in the moment that sometimes she'll be like, oh yeah, I'm getting changed. Well, the underwear's on the floor, shirt's on the floor, shorts are on a cabinet somewhere. Like it doesn't matter how many times you're like, hey, just put it in the hamper.
Right.
It's things like that, or backpack. There's a spot and a place for everything, but it just ends up somewhere else.
I'm sure your mom's watching this.
Oh,
what do you
know.
think she's saying to this?
She's saying, this is what I used to tell you all the time about cleaning up your room. Oh, girl, I know. I'm living it right now, Mom. I see it.
It's interesting, though, because you took this question from the perspective of a parent.
I did.
I actually took it from the perspective of being an adult, but still the child of my parents.
Well, I see that too.
Yeah. And I wonder how most people read this. Did you have something to say from that perspective?
Yeah. It's interesting. Yes. Because I did take it in terms of Brooklyn, because I look at it as like, I'm a parent. And so like, I don't feel like she owes me anything, but also as a child who has two parents, like, it's not that I feel like I owe them anything. It's more like I have the ability and for lack of a better way to say this, like the money now to give back for all the years that they sacrificed for me.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking too. And just like the dating question, the never having dated, I think it depends on situations. If you have a parent who birthed you or maybe even just conceived you and then bounced, like you don't owe that person anything.
Yeah.
If you have a parent that was abusive or, something to that effect, I don't know that you necessarily need to owe them anything, because that tends to perpetuate certain behaviors and codependencies, and it's oftentimes people getting manipulated into or guilted into doing things. So I was thinking about it from just a normal, like if you had a normal childhood with good parents who were there, I don't mean good, but parents who were there, do you owe them anything? I think Americans, Western culture doesn't think as much that you should as much. Eastern culture has always been big on that. Yeah. Multi-generational households, living together, even in like in India, at least when I was listening to something in the 60s or 70s, like you have kind of different stages of your life. And one of them is like an elder kind of tribes person, like you start getting gray hair and it's held in a position of respect rather than like you're no good to our capitalist economy anymore because you can't work. So I think it's different in different places. For me, like, do I feel like I owe my parents anything? I only have one parent.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I owe my mom a certain amount of something.
Yeah.
As a good person, as a good son, as still a contributing member of that family. Like, yeah, I do feel like that. And my mom is incredible, and she's done so much to help me through my entire life.
Yeah.
Not just growing up, but even to this day.
Yep.
Like, she is a contributing part of our life. She picks our kid up from school once a week. She does all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So I do feel like there's an obligation there. But taking myself out of the situation, I think that if you had a quote unquote normal life, there should be some type of understanding, or obligation, even if it is, if you really don't like it, maybe it's just for the 18 years that they took care of you, you should be there for them. Yeah. But I think a lot about late in life or end of life.
Yeah, you do. Ram Dass stuff.
Yeah, Ram Dass stuff. But also, like, my grandmother is going to be 93 this December. I think 93. I think
it's older than that.
193.
No.
But, seeing...
I thought she was 94, so...
I don't know. Once you get...
I know. Once you get
so
into
many under your belt,
yeah,
it's tough to know. But seeing my mom take care of my grandmother, every single day, spending hours at a time with her. I watched how my mom took care of my dad as he was dying, and they weren't even married. They had been divorced for 15 years at that point.
Yeah.
So I see that, and I think to myself, if there's ways that I can be a contributing member to my family, particularly for my nuclear family, like my mom, my sister, then I want to do that. Because for me, I think that it's a matter personally for me of right and wrong, not for you listening. Everyone's got different things, but I think it would be wrong if my mom was like, can you help me with this thing? And I was like, no, I'm not your kid. Like, I think that would be wrong for me.
Yeah. And I agree with that as well. I mean, I'm lucky that both my parents are still alive and well. And so they help each other out a lot. But yeah, it is that I think it's an honor to be able to help them now, whether it's like, hey, can you come over and help me sell my purses on eBay because we're more
tech savvy
than they are, or the random phone call I get to figure out how Instagram works, or something bigger like going to pick them up from the airport or drop them off from the airport, or whatever it is, I think it's an honor to be able to help them in things, seeing as they helped me become the person that I am today and loved me through all of my failures and mistakes. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So I think the answer that I have is I don't think you owe anybody anything. But I think it's an honor to be able to take care of someone that took care of you.
Yeah. And I think it's reasonable to do that as long as the expectations are reasonable as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody is in that situation.
For sure.
So we have two more.
Okay.
This next one, in case I didn't say it, 54% agreed that kids don't owe their parents anything.
Yeah.
Which means the majority, not by much, but by 4%, the majority of people don't think they owe their parents anything. Only 46% disagreed. Next one. This was encouraging for me because I don't always look through who's answered, like disagree or agree.
Okay.
But this one was different for me because we've never asked a question like this before. And I was encouraged at not only the responses, but particularly the responses from certain types of people.
Got it.
Now, I won't get into who those people are, but I'll explain more. Number 3 out of 4. Telling your friends about your sex life is gross and weird. Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
46% agreed.
Okay.
And 54% disagreed.
Okay.
Which was encouraging for me that the majority, even though it was just 4% of higher, the majority said it's not weird. Like it's normal or it's good or it's healthy or whatever. What was encouraging to me though is that since this one was different than a normal unpopular opinion, I looked to see where this is falling.
Yeah.
A lot of religious people erred on the side of it's not odd.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not just saying.
Were they mostly females?
I'm not sure how closely I looked. And to be honest, it's majority females who vote on our stuff too.
Okay.
So probably majority females, but I don't know that means that it wasn't males choosing it. You know what I mean? But I'm not talking about one specific religion. I'm talking many people who I know are of many different faiths.
Yeah.
Were saying, no, it's not weird. And that was really encouraging for me because I did not think that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think it's gross and weird or do you think it's good?
I have lots of thoughts on this per usual. Mm-hmm. I do not think it's gross and weird. In fact, I think it normalizes like sex and what it is to have a sexy health life. Sexy.
You know what? We really should work on a sexy health life too.
A healthy sex life. Sorry, don't mind me. And I can be a little bit more vulnerable and share, but I had to go to therapy to work through some of my, what would you call it? Like,
depends on what piece you're referring to.
You could call it trauma. You could call it sexual identity. You call it baggage, whatever. Like the truth is, which I know maybe people don't want to talk about or don't want to hear, is growing up in the church is hard for a female. like really hard. There are some really great things about it. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot. I became a really organized, it was my first job. I learned a lot in that and how to like really help to not run, that's not what I mean, but how to run like successful pieces of a business. I learned how to organize a bunch of people. Like I was given opportunities, which is great, but it's really hard growing up as a female because no matter what you do, in terms of relationships, you're always in the wrong. I think we've talked about this in the show before where I've said, this is getting to a point. I know it's long, but, so this before that, if you were to make a mistake as a female in the church and do something sexual with your boyfriend, the boy would get a slap on the wrist and say, that's bad. Don't do that. And the girl would be called, like, you would be in trouble. Like you're unclean now.
Yeah. Words that we would have to be, change the podcast to explicit if we said them here.
Yeah. I mean, you could say Jezebel. That's not explicit. That's a very like old timey biblical term.
Words that start with W's and S's. Yeah.
But it's true. It's just true. And I think there's a lot of it in there that like, I distinctly remember like, you know, in high school, you would go to like different, you would have church, but you would also have like women, like you'd break out the girls versus the boys and you'd have like a girl speak to you or whatever. And I like distinctly remember having one of the pastor's wives be like, sex is bad, except in marriage. It's beautiful in marriage. And it was hard for me to grasp and understand how both were true.
Right.
Like sex is bad, but it's good in marriage. And I've heard this a lot from my friends that grew up in the church that are now married, where they said it is a hard transition for it to go from it's bad, it's not okay, to all of a sudden like it's totally fine and like please your husband and it's great. I really struggled with my identity in that, I think, of like, not that I felt dirty or gross or anything like that, but like coming to terms with understanding like what is my sexuality and what does that look like to be a female and be proud and strong of who I am, which I think I'm a very confident person, but is one part of my life I really struggled with. I had to go to therapy. You know, we work through it. And if you're struggling, there's a great book. It's called Come As You Are
by Emily Nagoski, maybe?
Nagassini. I don't know. It sounds like the snake from Harry Potter, but it's
Nagini.
not. Yeah. But it's a great book. It breaks down like, how would you describe? Because you read it too.
I mean, let me just preface this. It is an excellent book.
It is.
We read it in 2021. I read 52 books that year, and that was my favorite and most important book that I read. Maybe number 2, but like definitely top 2.
And it's definitely written for women, but anyone can read it.
It's
obviously
written about and for women, but not at the exclusion of men.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a heterosexual relationship and you want to have a better understanding of how your female partner perceives information, stimulus, whatever it is, this is awesome. It's like a book of secrets, truly. Like you'll be like, I had no idea. It's really great. And I thought I had a pretty good working knowledge of this stuff. To preface, this does not come from any faith-based background.
No,
so you're going to get a lot of science, a lot of, laboratory results, and here's what happened with mice. And you're also going to get things that if you're not comfortable with certain areas and aspects of sexuality, and I don't mean just two people coming together, I mean sexual identity, orientation, it might be triggering for you. I'd still encourage you to check it out and broaden your horizons, but it is a very important book. And if you are particularly a woman, and I'm hoping that you can reiterate this because as a cisgendered straight white male, it doesn't need to be coming from me. But if you are a woman who is trying to figure out who they are, their sexual identity individually as a person without other people around, as well as what that might look like with your partner or with other people, if you need a place to go and it's not easy to talk to people about it, this is a great place to start.
And I say that that's 100% right. And what I'll add to that is say, I'm so sorry. It's so long-winded. I know you're like, it's okay. Who cares? I just think in our society, especially in the media, women when it comes to sex or sexual encounters, we're always depicted as like you're depicted in a certain way, and it's depicted like sex is shown one way, and like how it is for everyone, and how like women enjoy it versus men or whatever, right? There's like a certain way. The stereotype of like what it looks like and how it happens, right? I think this book teaches you and gives you permission to say, no matter how I go through that process or how I am in that or where I fall on my, what would you say, your levels of
like you might call it libido, like the sex drive, but that's not
That's
exactly
not what it is, and you'll learn that in the book.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist. Yeah.
But your desire level.
Your desire level, it's normal. It's all normal. And women experience it differently than the media depicts it. And some girls do experience it that way. That's totally fine. But it's just such a good book. I've recommended it to a lot of people. And I would say that if you're just looking for a good read, looking to learn a little bit more about yourself as a female, or looking to understand your partner as a male, read it. It's great, honestly. And it was good for me. I don't remember the question, which is terrible. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It was telling your friends about your sex life is gross and weird.
Yeah. So all to say circle back. I think it's really healthy, and I think it should be done because I think it just reinforces that idea, especially as a female, it reinforces that idea that everything is normal. And that what you're experiencing, someone else is experiencing too. Is I'm just going to say it. Simone and I have talked about like our sex lives respectively. And I'm not saying that you have to go into a ton of detail, but like you should have a safe place where you can talk about like your struggles or like the positive things, or like not understanding something. Like it's all okay. And again, especially growing up in the church, there's lots of stuff that you don't hear and you don't talk about and you're not allowed to ask about and you're not allowed to learn about. And that's okay. Like for you, if that's where you're at, that's totally fine. For me, I needed more. I needed to understand more. I needed to learn more about myself and be more confident in who I was. And a lot of that was learning that it is okay to talk to other people. And my therapist encouraged me to do that.
Yeah,
she did. And that was what gave me the push to do that. And it was really scary, I remember. And now it just is like, I'm talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah, literally. Well, and I think what's interesting too, and I'll wrap it up because I have a feeling we'll address this topic a multitude of times in future episodes. But what was interesting is that like it started by me seeing something, not literally seeing something, but seeing something in the way that you were thinking or handling yourself, that I was like, hey, I think it might be beneficial to you to explore kind of like what's going on in your mind with this, amongst other things. And I remember you were like, I'm good. Like, but believing it.
Yeah.
100%. Not like I'm really uncomfortable, so I'm saying I'm good. Like you're like, no, I'm totally fine. And I wonder, as you look back on that girl from a few years ago, like if you'd still see her and go like, I think you'd say she's fine and she would be fine, but like you've grown so much in who you are and your confidence and your comfortability in talking to people and just all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you look back at that girl, are you proud of where you've come from and where you are? Like, what is that?
I'm proud of my growth. And I will say I'm a different person than I was before I went to therapy. And I'd been in therapy prior to that as well, because therapy should be normalized and should be okay to do. And it's 100%. Healthy. But this was like specific therapy, and I loved my therapist. She's amazing and was the one who recommended the book to me and to you. But what I'm most proud of is I think it gives me a different perspective for Brooklyn, who is involved in church, like currently. And I have my fears and my reservations about certain things, but I also feel confident in how I can support her and encourage her on her journey to understanding her sexuality, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And appropriately in time. Like, there's different things we'll talk about at 8 than at 16. Right. Yeah. But, it gave me a better perspective of how not to shame her the way that I was shamed. Which ultimately caused me, I think, to be uncomfortable and not understand my body as a whole.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And we won't go into detail of it, but it's encouraging to see.
You can ask me about it. I'm happy to talk to you about it one-on-one, off camera and off the podcast. But
you hear that, dudes?
What?
She wants to talk to you.
No, I don't mean like that. I just mean like I'm happy to talk to anyone about it.
No, I didn't mean that about you. I meant we won't share specifics about like Brooklyn. You can share as many specifics as you want. Yeah. But what I was going to say is, without sharing specifics, because that is not appropriate. She's a child.
Yeah.
I'm excited that now I'm painting this as something it's not. I'm just excited that she's confident. For instance, here's an example. We use all the anatomically correct words for things.
Yep.
And like even this morning, we were watching an episode of SpongeBob before school while she ate. And I was like, and it's funny because Mr. Krabs comes in here and has no clothes on. And she goes, yeah, like good thing he doesn't have like any nipples or a butt or a penis. And I can tell like she kind of looks to see like,
can I say
is
that?
Is it okay? And to be able to not be like, come on.
Yeah,
we're like, so what I said was like, yeah, that would be so weird. And letting her become comfortable with vernacular, even before becoming comfortable with anything else. I want her to be confident in the words and then also in herself.
Yeah.
I don't want her to think or be taught that there is a part of her that is bad, that is inherently bad. Which I think that's unhealthy and inappropriate.
Yeah. Which I think was it's unfortunately, you can speak to this more, but
unspoken but over communicated in the culture.
In the Christian culture. And I can, my experience in the Christian culture is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Is what
unspoken in the sense that it's never directly said, but over communicated in the sense that it's relentlessly implied.
And reinforced, yeah.
There's parts of you that are inherently bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a lot on that. I have one that's a little bit more lighthearted to wrap it up.
Yes. Talk to it about your friends. Yeah. Or talk to it with your friends.
Yeah.
About it
We're still good.
We're still good. Yeah.
Good. All right. The last unpopular opinion before our stories is number 4. Being friends with your ex is really weird, actually.
Well, what are your thoughts since your ex is in our life all the time?
Yeah, that is true. And she is a wonderful person. I wouldn't say that any of the 4 of us would call each other friends. I don't think that we would be friends if we did not have a kid that the 4 of us co-parent together.
Yeah.
And that's not because anyone's good or bad. It's just we're all 4. The 2 couples are very different people.
This is not meant to be mean, but there's a reason the 2 of you aren't together anymore. And a lot of lifestyles don't necessarily match up. You have different,
of course, yes.
Different values.
I didn't mention this earlier, but when we were talking about the dating question, is it a red flag? Mm-hmm. Had I or our kid's mom listened to her dad, so Whitney's dad, who told her, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that. She didn't believe that. He was right. That basically, I started saying it earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had the life experience in certain areas, you just believe what is a strong conviction. And we both felt that way. We're like, why would we date a bunch of people?
Yeah.
We already figured it out and found it. And I think without experience, that's kind of what happens. All that to say, let me make sure I'm very clear on this. Yeah, so someone I was in a relationship with is a weekly, if not multi times a week, a part of our life.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that for both of them, her and John, and the parents that they are. We were John wasn't there yesterday, but y'all were at soccer practice together. It was me, you, her, B. It was like we're all good.
Yeah.
I think that there's circumstances and situations where being friends with your ex is okay. I don't have that in my life at all. And looking back at it, there's maybe 1 or 2 people that I could be like, yeah, if everyone was cool, like this wouldn't be weird anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't have any actual examples.
Yeah.
What about you?
Is the question, is it weird to be friends with your ex?
The statement was being friends with your ex is really weird, actually.
I think it depends on the type of people. I think it could be weird if you make it weird, but that's everything in life. I'm not personally friends with any of my exes.
I don't think so.
I don't think. I'm like
She's
really trying to think about
a huge list.
No, but I can see a world where like we could be okay.
Sure.
You know, but I also think it depends on how old you were when you broke up, like
what the circumstances
were. Yeah. Cause I think like it is, if you're like really young and you're dating, like it's like an explosion when you break up.
Yeah,
right. Cause it just is. I think if you get into your mid to late 20s, it's a little bit different. You can break up with someone and do it.
Yeah.
How did they say when they separated?
They consciously uncoupled.
I think you can do that and still be like good friends and well, not good friends, but still be friendly. But I think a lot of it for me, it comes down to, can you be friends with your ex and respect your current partner?
That's really dependent on the partner, huh? The current partner.
Yeah, because there has to be trust there too. And if being friends with an ex makes your current partner feel uncomfortable, then I think you have to decide for yourself if it's worth it. For me, it's not. I'm like, my partner, which is my husband, is one of the most important people in my life. And so I want to make sure that we're comfortable and we're on board. Now, you and I have a very different relationship than I think most people do. We're very comfortable with lots of things. So I hit the microphone again. We're very comfortable and we trust each other a lot. We over communicate all the time, which works for us and is who we are. I understand it doesn't work for most people, but but I think that's the boundary I would set. Can we be friends and still respect my current relationship and like his boundaries?
Yeah, I've seen problems when people are like, oh, they're in a relationship and the partner's like, who is this person? And they're like, oh, we used to date, but it's not like that anymore. We're just like best friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I would like to be dating you as well as maybe that best friend position.
Yeah.
And you slept with your best friend, which is a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
I want to be the best friend that you're sleeping with
Yeah,
because we're in a relationship. So I could see that being weird. And I've heard many instances of like, oh, you don't understand, like we're just best friends.
Yeah.
But I think that also happens when girls or guys hang out with the opposite gender. This is a heterosexual relationship. Take it for what it is in your situations. But when they hang out with someone that their partner is going to perceive as a threat to them, whatever gender that is.
Yeah.
I think that's where the tension comes in.
Yeah.
If it's an ex or not, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So consult your partner before trying to have friends with your ex.
And I don't have any friends
at all.
Or exes.
Or any friends.
I have friends.
That are your exes?
No.
Okay. Because they're all in Texas.
Yep.
All right. And for the record, 52% agreed that it's weird and only 48% disagreed. So really split on these last four. I know. Send in your ex stories.
I want to read all the dirt, the tea.
We're going to spill all the tea on season 2, episode 1. We spill all the Appalachian sipping cream. All right. Well, I did promise a long episode, and we've still got more for you.
All right, let's do it.
We've got some stories. We've got one story I was holding on to, and we've mentioned this, but we don't talk to each other about the content of the show.
Is this the one that you shared?
One slipped out when we were talking to people about something at the photo shoot. So I'll save that to the end if we want to do it. First story. Police rush to reports of ritual mass murder.
I'm sorry, what?
Police rush to reports of ritual mass murder, but it was just a yoga class.
What?
This was on CNN.
Really?
Yeah, so here's the highlights. When a yoga teacher turned out the lights towards the end of one of her classes in Britain this week, her hope was to encourage peaceful relaxation. What followed could not have been further from her intention. Soon after the class was over, a mass of police sirens shattered the peace as officers raced towards the venue where the class was being held. On Facebook, the yoga teacher said the police came to the observatory, the place they were having it, after someone had reported a mass killing in our building, having seen several people laying on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Which actually turned out to be the yoga class in meditation. She goes,
quite the opposite.
It's literally the opposite. I mean, I guess the opposite would be giving birth in the class. So
yeah,
almost literally.
But like instead of like dying, they're laying peacefully, trying to be calm. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
not in
rest
fear.
in peace. Yeah.
Sure.
Who knows? Maybe they're onto something.
Who knows?
This woman goes on to say, "Dear general public, please be mindful that the observatory hosts lots of yoga classes happening in the evenings. We are not a part of any mad cult or crazy club." You want to know what happened?
Yeah.
What happened was a local dog walker mistook the group, their deep relaxation exercise as a ritualistic mass murderer, and they called the police.
Like they thought that they took pills to kill. Can I say that on here?
We can say whatever we want.
Pills to kill themselves? Is that what he thought? Okay.
They thought this was like
they drank
some
Kool-Aid.
cult thing. Yeah. So no, it was just yoga. Leave people alone. But also, if you think if that's happening, I guess you should call. Maybe do a little research.
Yeah.
Ask a few other dog walkers around. Like, did you look in there?
Did you see that? Yeah.
Is that a yoga class?
Yeah. What is that? Mass murder. Yeah, who knows?
What is that? What is that?
Wow.
So yeah, all right. I guess what we're saying is don't do yoga.
No, don't do yoga in the dark. That's what we're saying.
All right, you ready for another one?
I am ready for another one.
Next one. New Jersey business owner arrested for using drone to drop green dye in nearby pools.
What?
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Why green dye? Why in nearby pools? Why with the drone?
So I had some thoughts as this was happening. Because I read the headline and I was like, why? All the questions you asked. Why? Yeah. And I was like, does he have a pool cleaning service?
No.
Is he dropping it in the water to be like, look at all these nasty pools? No.
Yeah.
Is he a mischievous teen playing pranks on people?
With a drone? No. It's too expensive.
So let's find out. Let me reiterate the headline here. New Jersey business owner arrested for using drone to drop green dye in nearby pools, which caused tens of thousands of dollars of damage to nearby residential pools and hotel pools by dropping the green dye in them.
I would hate for my visit to be ruined by green dye in a pool that I couldn't get into. That would stink.
Yes, it would.
Okay, so tell me why.
What is the place that they do that? It's like St. Patrick's Day. They dye a river green in Boston, maybe?
No idea.
Okay, great. This was
that sounds right.
Good chat. Okay. Let's see. The man who did this is the owner of a local heating and air business. So I wasn't that far off, but it still doesn't make sense. Police found him when they followed the drone back to the business after he dropped green dye in the pool of a Quality Inn on September 1st.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That's recent.
They're getting all these reports. Yeah, I know. It's like less than, it's about a week ago that this happened.
I'm going to follow that drone. Follow that drone.
Well, I just imagine this guy in his like heating and air warehouse, and he's like, no one's gonna know who I am, and the police are like, yeah, well, I guess we'll just follow it.
Yeah. Smart policeman.
Yeah, so drone batteries only last usually like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you can keep up with the drone for a couple minutes, you're probably gonna figure it out.
So why
did he do it?
Yeah,
that's a great question. I've got more
tell me
info. So first of all, hotel managers estimated the cost of draining, cleaning, and refilling the pools, plus the loss of revenue, to be in the tens of thousands of dollars.
That makes sense.
When the man was asked why he dumped the green dye in the pools, he said, I don't know, I just thought it would be funny. He didn't actually say that.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound.
But the owner, Patrick Spina IV,
is he Irish?
I don't know, but it sounds like he should be at a skate shop rather than a heating and air
Patrick
thing.
Spina.
Of course, it's a Patrick.
Of course.
And of course, he's the fourth, just like me.
No.
That's not true. He was arrested and charged for criminal mischief.
Yeah.
Did you know you could get arrested for criminal mischief?
For being Loki.
Seriously.
Get it?
Call back.
Oh. No, I mean, it makes sense.
It's
probably what a bunch of teenagers get arrested for.
So the real
criminal mischief.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know
think
why.
I actually saw that recently. But the reason they literally thought that, like, asked him, he didn't really answer, and they literally think it was just a prank.
That's
He's just like, you know what would be hilarious?
So funny.
If we just draw. And this green dye, by the way, I did a lot of reading. This is a green dye that like law enforcement uses to drop into the ocean so that the Coast Guard can, or anyone who's like flying above, can easily identify an area that like needs help or something's happening.
How do they even get access to that?
Heating and cooling people have access to all sorts of stuff.
How rude.
How rude. Anyway, so that is our New Jersey news of the week. We've got one more thing that I've already talked to you about.
Okay.
But since we're already so close to hitting our 2-hour mark, the longest episode yet, we might as well throw it in.
Okay.
Here it is. Coast Guard, speaking of, Coast Guard arrests a man trying to run a giant hamster wheel across the Atlantic.
I did hear about this.
This is, I don't know if I can get
Did it work?
Define work.
Did he walk on water?
He walked on a giant hamster wheel that kind of looked like that. Do you want to see what it looks like?
I do. Oh my goodness.
All right, I'm going to talk so the camera will come over to me so you can maybe see that a little bit more. Here you go.
He would die.
Well,
are those balloons or buoys?
They seem to be buoys and exercise balls.
What happens if they pop?
In like a roll cage. I don't know. So this guy is a Florida man.
Yeah.
Of course. And he put together this, when we say hamster wheel, I'm not like a hamster ball. It's more like the wheel that they run in. So he put all these buoys there, and he was going to leave Florida inside this tube and run in the tube. Run 4,000 miles to England. That was the plan. That was the full extent of the plan.
To England.
From Florida
to England.
To England.
They do cruise ships that way.
Yeah, for perspective.
And it takes how many days? I think it was 7 days.
Yeah, to
on
get
a cruise
to Spain.
Ship. Yeah.
Which I think is probably closer to Florida than England.
Yeah.
I'm not a map maker. I don't know.
And that's a boat.
Yeah, that's on a boat. Or you know what you do on there? You sleep, you eat buffet food, you see a show. No, you're not running in a hamster wheel for 4,000 miles.
Yeah, that's how you die. It's a death wish.
He didn't make it.
Did he die?
No.
Okay.
He didn't make it to England.
Okay.
But as far as I know, he's still alive. Here's what did happen.
Tell me.
The Coast Guard stopped him. And viewer discretion advised, because it gets a little intense.
Okay.
Coast Guard pulls up in like a small boat, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And this guy's like, "Get away!" And they're like, "What's happening?" "I have a knife!" And he pulls out a knife.
It's how he's gonna pop all his yoga balls.
This
my gosh,
thing's going down if you don't move.
Yeah.
No, he was like, "If you try to get me, I will end my everything."
All right.
So they leave him alone.
Unalive himself.
How
we say that.
Is that what it is on social now?
Yeah. We
Unalive
unalive
myself. That was his threat. They leave, give him a few days. So this dude's literally like, okay, they're gone. Run, 3 days. Run. Coast Guard comes back. He's like, I have 2 knives. I don't know where he got the second knife.
He found it in the ocean.
I can't wait, by the way, for the police to knock on the studio door and be like, we have reports of a man with 2 knives. Like, it was just a yoga class.
We were kidding.
Yeah. So they're like, whoa, okay, fine. So they leave again. A few days go by. Run. Somehow doesn't die. I don't know the science of it. Coast Guard comes back. Now the guy is like, I have a bomb. And he shows them these wires. And at this point, they're probably like, 1, this dude's crazy. 2, I'm not willing to unalive myself and for this inner tube hamster man.
Yeah.
So they come out a couple days later, I guess. They give him some supplies, some food, some water, trying to get on his side a little bit. I don't know how it happens, but they do get him off of that hamster wheel and into the boat and get him arrested.
Yeah, as he should be.
He gets released on bail for $250,000.
It's insanity.
So this dude, whose life dream apparently is to hamster wheel to Europe, has $250,000 to get out of jail.
I mean, he built that thing. It's not cheap to build a hamster wheel that big.
No.
Just saying.
All the more reason he wouldn't have that much money.
It's crazy. Just fly there.
Seriously.
You want to go.
No, but he's a weird guy. He doesn't like to do this stuff.
Okay.
He'd been stopped by the Coast Guard before.
Okay.
When he tried to go from Florida in a similar hamster wheel to the Bahamas.
That makes more sense.
Didn't work out.
Yeah.
But you know what did work out?
What?
Running across America.
Like Forrest Gump?
And back. Like
Forrest Gump.
Double Forrest Gump.
Literally.
I think actually Forrest Gump is based on this man's life.
Well.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
But he did allegedly run across the United
crazy.
States and back.
So what happened to him now?
He is, I believe, awaiting trial. And the only thing that I know of that was special on his bail or bond or whatever is that he is not allowed to go on any type of watercraft of any kind until his trial
That makes
date.
sense. It makes sense, though. And for those of you at home who are like, why can't he do this thing?
That?
I have no idea, but I can only equate it to the Titan submarine.
Ooh, too soon.
That went down to the Titanic and then imploded on itself that we know now. But it makes sense because they spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars in resources trying to save these 5 billionaires that chose to go down into the middle of the ocean and try to save them. I'm sure the same thing happens to this random hamster wheel person.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
why?
Well, that's exactly what the Coast Guard said. They're like, we're arresting you because this is unsafe. In the same way that it's not legal to unalive yourself, I think there's certain unreasonable safety things or things that are unreasonable to safety that you can't get away with. Also, do you think they named the Titan because it's just 2 letters shorter than Titanic and maybe it's like a small Titanic? Because it did end up being kind of like a small Titanic.
I mean, it was. I know that there have been other ships that have, or like things like the Titan, but better, that have gone down to see the Titanic. That weren't called the Titan. Yeah. Like is his name James Cameron? The guy that actually like directed the movie. He's gone down like 9 times to see the Titanic, which I think is insanity. The Titan was just supposed to be cheaper and like better or whatever.
And it was cheaper.
But it was not better.
No, and James Cameron said that, I think.
Yeah,
He's
well,
like,
a lot of people said, don't do that. Yeah, but that's a story for another time.
Story for another time.
Right, what are you looking forward to this week?
You come here for your hard-hitting current events.
Yeah.
Like the Titan submarine that happened 6 months ago.
You know, got to give some space. 5 people did die.
It is true.
May they rest forever in peace by the Titanic.
In pieces.
Oh.
That is all the stories we have. Oh, too soon. Too soon.
Oh, what are you looking forward to this week?
Not the Titanic. Last week it was the Boston Marathon.
Oh my gosh.
Today we almost got out of it. Every episode's about death. I love it. What am I excited about?
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier in the show. We are working in Orlando, and then we are playing in Orlando with some of our fans.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good. I am not a
Disney person.
No. I am a Disney person. I love Disney. I love working for Disney.
He's not a theme park person.
I'm really just not an outside person. I don't really enjoy being outside.
He gets a little sick on
roller coasters.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say it gets really sick, and to give perspective for any of you that have been to Orlando, Universal Orlando. I'm a huge Harry Potter. I'll do this quick. A huge Harry Potter nerd. I stinking love it. Read all the books multiple times. Obviously, I've watched the movies. Was so excited to go to Universal Orlando with our DB production fam was it last year or a couple years ago after a gig?
It was last year, yeah.
We worked hard and then we played hard. But they wanted to surprise me and not let me know about any of the rides of the Harry Potter rides so that I would be surprised as we went on them. And for any of you that have been on the Hagrid's ride at Universal Orlando, you know that it's so fun, but for people that get sick on roller coasters, it is the worst ride you can go on.
It is all of the worst things for motion sickness people.
100%. And we went on it. They didn't tell us anything. We went on it. There's a point in the ride. I'm just going to give it away. Spoilers. So if you don't want to know, stop listening. But it's like a normal roller coaster, which is super fun. And then you go up the track. The track ends as it's supposed to. And then you go backwards on the track. And then at some point in time, the track falls too, and you get put on another track. So like two things that if you're motion sickness, you're out.
I'm sorry. Let me describe
but wait,
this.
I distinctly remember when we went up, like you're going really fast too, and lots of round curves and stuff, but you go up and then you start going backwards. And I distinctly remember going up and being like, oh no, this is not going to be good for SP. And I turned to look at him and he is white. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is not going to be good. And I remember him just like kind of holding on and trying to be as I'm like I'm having fun. It was really fun for me. But
I'm getting the throw up sweats just thinking about it.
I know he did. I got to go on it again afterward, which was super fun. And he walked around and took some time for himself.
Yeah, I straight up left. Okay, Kellie described it as, you get to the end of the ride and then it reverses and then you actually, like there's a point where it drops. That is not what happened. When you get to the end of a roller coaster, you get back to the place where you started. That is the end. That's not what happened.
No, we are
going lightning fast.
We are
to the end of the track.
Yeah.
And you go way up and you're like, that's the end of the track. And you start speeding down.
Yeah.
So you're like, and then you stop and you don't go down. You don't just drop. It takes you from one track, drops the bottom out of that track, and you drop 700 feet onto the next one.
You got stuck in Devil's Snare.
I don't care what the black cat reason was for this.
I don't know what to tell you.
It was terrible. The only thing that could have been worse for me is if it had a blend of like VR or projection and then also
like
reality.
The Gringotts ride, you couldn't do that.
That one makes me want
or
to
the
throw
Forbidden
up.
Forest. Well, yeah, you couldn't do that.
So you guys rode it a second time, and I just went over to the Jurassic World area.
It was so fun. I had
tried
so
not
much
to throw
fun.
up or cry.
But anyway, so
I'm looking forward to that.
He's not really into theme parks, but you're looking forward to hanging out with our friends and being at Disney World.
Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to working with our DB fam.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the full team because they've got multiple gigs going on because they're so successful. Love it. But looking forward to seeing our DB, B2, and Lost Coast fam too.
Yeah, I'm excited about all of that. I'm excited to be reunited with Andy and Hannah. I do love them so much. And I am particularly excited about Epcot because I'm going to eat and drink my way through that park all day long. I've done research. I'm so excited. We'll bring the research back to you so you know our favorite drinks and our favorite food from that park. But
that's right. We'll be recording some of it. You won't see it on next week's finale episode because we're planning on batching it up to be a special, shorter episode of our experience there. Not just videos from the parks, but also recaps at the end of the day. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll love it. And if you're not into it, you won't have to listen to it in an episode. It's going to be great.
Well, that's everything from us today, I guess.
That's it. Don't forget, anything you want, hit us up, text us, DM us, or email us at hardlyworkingfans@gmail.com. But that's it for this week. I'm SP.
I'm Kellie.
And I love you.
Love you too.
We love you guys too.
Bye.
Bye.
Done tinkering? I don't know.
Can't you see we have a podcast?
No.